Everyone, welcome.
I'm doing. There were so many around the house.
Hey Jack, welcome. I'm doing something different today. I'm going to try Streamlabs for a couple days and see how we like the chat and everything, and see what you guys can tell me about Streamlabs if you like it.
We have experienced people that are working our stores. Our employees are just top notch. They're very experienced.
I've never used Streamlabs before, so I thought, what the heck? Everyone says use Streamlabs, use Streamlabs.
Somebody that will like to work with you to find you the right product,
Hey Neil.
the right pieces,
So let me know how you guys like Streamlabs today.
With the right material.
There are lots of Ace Hardware stores, but there are only two that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deer.
It hasn't gone live yet. It's going to go live at 5 minutes after. It only lets me do the top or 5 after.
And of course, the Beach Ace Hardware, located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, a half block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea. Very, very special location.
Yeah, I think actually, I think I have used it once or twice, but a long time ago.
Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place,
I didn't really try it. I kind of like the chat a little bit better already. I can see the chat pretty well.
Take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part.
Okay, we're not live until I guess another minute or so, and it'll go live on YouTube. But if you're new, subscribe. My daughter set up a couple of graphics when someone subscribes or leaves a super chat, so
care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
This is Steve Kane for Attorney Barry.
Hit the wrong commercial.
Barry did a great
That
job
happens
for me and my
sometimes.
family when we needed a revocable living
Hey,
trust.
Jeff.
Listen to one of our listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise Barry Siegel. And one of the most important things about sponsors is integrity.
Lots to talk about today. Holy smokes, is there a lot to talk about
today.
today.
My sister because her husband died.
The stuff with AOC is hilarious. Yeah, so if you're not subscribed, subscribe or leave a super chat. You'll see the alerts. My daughter set them up. They're pretty cool.
Questions. I let the secretary know. So I'm calling from South Carolina. I know the laws are different, and I'm just asking for information for my sister. Now, you know, most people
Terry.
blow you up, right? You know almost...
The feed goes live at 5 after.
Minutes, Barry himself called me. I asked my questions and so on, and he answered. He was very patient.
Hey, Michael.
Quite a while with him, and talked about a lot of things, you know, and this and that.
Yeah, I've already been to Walt Disney World. I went last week.
Integrity. These are the most important things with sponsors, and all of your sponsors, because I've dealt with a lot of them. They all have that.
All right, here we
You can
go.
trust them, and you know you're getting a fair shake.
Do what Ray did. Call Attorney Barry Siegel right now. Toll free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning.
Toll free FLA-3782. Tell them Steve sent you.
Oh, it's Monday already. Oh my goodness. I'm wearing my One American News shirt today.
Kane Show. To call the show toll free.
Yes, yes. All right. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. It's Monday morning. We're here live, July 13th, 2020. Well, our phones are back working today. If you're listening to the Friday show, the phones were not working. And what happened, the internet went out in the building, and the phones are internet phones now. Phones are not as reliable as they used to be because everything's connected to the internet, and the internet's not all that reliable. It goes down more often than you realize. So the internet goes down, no phones. So on Friday, I did a show with a couple of callers squeaked through. Richie, the bus driver, of course. You know, nothing would stop Richie from getting through. We had a couple of calls squeak through, and I don't know how that happened. I guess it was going in, it was going out, but the phones were out. I couldn't even make a call out on Friday. So the phones have been fixed and are up and running, but the elevator is out of order. The elevator is out of order and will be repaired later this morning after we get off the air. So I know all these obstacles No phones on Friday, no elevator on Monday, and we're on the 5th floor. If you go to my Instagram, Brian Craig Show on Instagram, you can watch me walk up walking up 5 flights of stairs doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but you know what? At 5:30 in the morning, when you're not used to doing morning exercises, well, I'm not used to doing afternoon or evening exercises either, but when you're not used to doing exercise, walking up 5 flights of stairs, oh my goodness. When I got to the top, I'm thinking, oh man, I hope I didn't leave anything in the car. Oh boy. But you know, a great thing about moving to the new studio here at the radio station, I don't have to worry about these problems. When we had our own studio at our other location, if the phones weren't working, if the elevator wasn't working, I'd have to get it fixed and deal with all of that. So now it's not my problem, thankfully so. It'll just get taken care of, like the phones. Boom, phones are out of order, boom, I come to work next day, boom, they're fixed. I love it. I love it. It makes it much easier. I can focus in on the broadcast. Because before I was like 70, 80% in on the broadcast. If there was a technical issue, forget about it. I was just checked out while I was trying to figure out the tech issue. And now when these things happen, I don't have to worry about it. So it makes things a little bit better for me, and I think the show better too. Well, there's a lot happening. Your calls certainly are welcome at 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631, a toll-free call from anywhere, no matter where you were listening or watching. And if you're a YouTube live watcher, I'm doing something a little different today. I'm trying, for people that watch on YouTube, you'll be familiar with this. If you're not a YouTube person, you'll not know what I'm talking about. But I'm using Streamlabs on YouTube today, which is an app that is supposed to be much better than just using the standard YouTube Live. So, and I kind of like it. I must tell you, I kind of like it so far. So we're doing a test run this morning on YouTube Live. So if you go over there, you can go and check it out. All right, well, so much happening. Of course, AOC on crime. We're going to get to that. The school's reopening. And, of course, this business with Roger Stone over the weekend. And I'll throw this out to you because I really do not have an answer to this very important question. Why did President Trump not pardon Roger Stone? Why did he just commute the sentence? Why did he commute the sentence of Roger Stone, which means he's still a convicted felon, but didn't pardon him? Now, I have a theory on that, and I'm going to tell you why I think. I think Jared Kushner. I just, I know, anytime something goes in a way that I don't approve of in the Trump White House, I always assume Jared Kushner. One, people tell me he's a globalist, he's a leftist, I get that. And I just don't, and this will sound ridiculous, but it's true. I don't trust guys that wear skinny suits. I just don't like these, these clothes that these millennials wear. They look like they've shrunken. You know what he looks like? You know what they look like? They look like the suits that Alfalfa used to wear on Our Gang, right? So but that's just a vague thing. I really don't know why he commuted the sentence and did not pardon Roger Stone. I was expecting a full pardon. Were you not expecting a full pardon? And I think Roger Stone, I think, was expecting a pardon too. And since he did not pardon Roger Stone, I think Papadopoulos is out of luck. He already did his time, his 2 weeks in jail. I had Papadopoulos on my podcast last week, and when I was talking to Papadopoulos, this was before Roger Stone on Friday had his sentence just, commuted by the president. It seemed to me when I talked to George Papadopoulos last week on my podcast that Papadopoulos was expecting a pardon to come at some point in the future. So I don't know. So if you have any idea why the president did not pardon Roger Stone, I certainly would welcome your thoughts on that. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. And boy, was I wrong about something. Trump is always right. Right? Trump is always right. I was a little concerned on Friday when I heard that the president was going to wear a mask for the first time in public, like go somewhere with a mask on. And the reason I was concerned about that is I was concerned about what it would look like. Because we saw when Joe Biden came out wearing a mask, he looked sad, pathetic, feeble, but I guess that's just Biden these days. When President Trump came out down the hallway with a mask on, with the presidential seal on the side at the Walter Reed Hospital, and he was surrounded by generals and admirals and others, he looked like, you know what it looked like to me? He looked so cool, didn't he? I mean, he looked cool. Everyone's saying he looked badass. Yeah, that's definitely true. It looked like a scene out of Reservoir Dogs when they're walking, didn't it? It looked like Quentin Tarantino choreographed that walk. Yeah, I thought Trump looked so cool in a mask. Who would have thought anyone could look cool in a mask? I mean, and there's no doubt about it. He looked not just cool, he looked super cool in the mask. I've never seen someone look so cool, so clever of them to do it that way. I don't think it's an accident that he walked down the hallway surrounded by an entourage of generals, and I think there was an admiral or two there, with that super cool mask with the presidential seal on the side. And I know it was absolutely beautiful. So I was concerned. I didn't like the idea that he was going to wear a mask in public. And then when I saw him wearing the mask, I'm like, this is awesome. He should wear masks all the time, President Trump, looking that cool. So, I just thought, so your thoughts on that certainly are welcome as well. The thing with Roger Stone, see, Flynn and Roger Stone are different animals, okay? All of these people, Roger Stone, General Flynn, Papadopoulos, Michael Cohen, and Paul Manafort are all political prisoners in the United States, in my opinion. And, that's a crazy thing, to have political prisoners in the United States. Dinesh D'Souza was a political prisoner, right? He was a political prisoner. And he got a pardon from President Trump. Not only did he get a pardon, because he had done his time already. Didn't he pardon Dinesh D'Souza? I don't think that he commuted the sentence. Dinesh D'Souza might have still been on probation, but maybe he wasn't. But I believe, didn't he give a pardon to Dinesh D'Souza? All of these people are political prisoners. And when I was talking to Papadopoulos on my podcast the other day, I said to him something that was a little strange to me, is that the whole idea that we have political prisoners in the United States is crazy to think, because that's something you would think would be in the Soviet Union or Cuba or North Korea, and all the political prisoners are Republicans. So, and I just, and General Flynn they got him on something that was wrong, and General Flynn he's a general, and with generals come honor, respect, and he wanted his name cleared, and I think he wanted his name cleared for beyond a pardon. I'm wondering how it would have affected his, and I was wondering about this, and I actually did a little research online. I did not find any clear answers. Maybe some of you know. If General Flynn was a convicted felon, how would that, on the charges that were brought up against him, how would that have affected his military benefits and pension? One. If he was pardoned, or had his sentence commuted, how would that have affected his benefits, as opposed to him being cleared by the system like he was? So I think there was a lot of, and plus a general wants their honor, their name, the respect. You don't want a general who's a political prisoner to have a conviction around them like that. So it's a different thing. But I just don't understand why the president did not pardon Roger Stone. So your thoughts, 1-888-GO-CANE1. That's the number. Good morning, you're on the radio.
Hey, good morning, Brian.
Hey, Alan, Coral Springs, how you doing?
All right. How do you feel about the Supreme Court's decision on Trump having to release his tax returns from New York?
Oh, really? President Trump's tax returns have been released now?
No, the Supreme Court said that he has to do it.
Really? So why hasn't he done it yet? Why are they not out yet? That was like days ago.
Yeah, because he's a lying cheat.
Really? So you've seen the tax returns and you know that he's cheated on his taxes?
Same way he brought up about the issue about Obama.
Well, how do you know he's a lying cheat?
Why is he hiding?
Oh, he's not hiding them. He just doesn't want to show them to everyone. He doesn't hide them. He files his taxes like you. Hey, by the way, are your taxes online for everybody to look at? You have your income taxes on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook?
This is not about me. This is about everything.
Well, no. I mean, there's a reason why Trump doesn't want to show his tax returns, which I'll tell you. But this is something that's private, and no one shares their tax returns because people don't want others to know how much money they make. No one wants people to know how much or how little money they make. That's why you don't share yours, and nobody else does. But why now? I'm going to tell you in a minute why Trump has not released and doesn't want to release his tax returns. Why do you think he doesn't want to release them?
Trump stood on national television and told everybody that soon as he is elected, he would release his tax returns. Have you forgotten that?
I don't remember that at all. In fact, he said maybe. He said he would think about it, and I remember some maybes. He never said he would do that. Why do you think why do the Democrats want to look at the tax returns? Why do you think?
He said he was going to release them just like everybody.
No, I don't think so. He said he would think about. But regardless of that, why do you think the Democrats want them? Why do they want them?
You go ahead and Google some YouTube.
I'm not Googling. I'm having a conversation. Why do the Democrats and the media want his taxes?
Your conversations are factless.
Well, no, I'm asking you a question. Why do you think they want his tax returns?
Can't have a conversation with you because nothing you say is based in fact.
Well, I just asked you a question. Why do they want his tax returns? Why do you think?
You asked me a question until you answer mine.
I'm talking about a topic you brought up. I wasn't even talking about this, so I don't know what you mean.
I asked you, and I informed you that he said that he would release his tax.
I don't believe that. I don't accept that. I don't accept that as truth.
The truth, and then we'll continue this conversation.
Oh, okay. Well, goodbye. I mean, I love the liberals are deciders of truth. When you agree with me, and that's the truth, we'll talk. There's a reason why they want his tax returns, and there's a reason why he doesn't want to get. There's a couple reasons why he doesn't want to give them out. All right, listen, we'll take our break. It's 19 minutes, coming up on 20 minutes after the hour. It's Monday morning. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. Indeed it is. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
You've heard Steve
Be right
Kane,
back, guys.
Richie the Bus Driver, and many other Steve Kane listeners tell you about the great work Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental Care offers. Steve Kane listener, hey, called in, he had an accident, he went to Dr. Gupta, and he told us his story.
Good morning, Brian. My name's Hank. I'm calling from Hollywood. Brian, I'm calling you for a different thing. About a month or so ago, I called first thing in the morning because I fainted coming out of my bathroom, and I busted my 3 front teeth. I busted my chin, but I guess I fainted, I fell, I cracked my chin, it hit my upper teeth, and cracked my 3 front teeth. I want to thank you, and I really want to thank Dr. Gupta. I mean, besides the fact that my teeth look great, besides the fact that, his assistant is really good, really nice, they're all really nice over there, the price was unbelievable. When I came home and I told my wife, she's like, I thought that thing was going to cost you 3 times as much. I said, so did I. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank Dr. Gupta. He's awesome.
Hey, guys.
I appreciate your show.
So, I'm using Streamlabs today for just tuning in for the first time, which I kind of like. Do you guys like the chat better this way? I know there'll always be a complainer, but... And I added a couple things. If you subscribe, you'll get something pop up on the screen. If someone gives a super chat, something pops up on the screen. So we'll wait and see if that happens.
You had a great experience with Dr.
Yeah, I did. Thank you again, Brian.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and thank Eve, and you guys keep up the good work over there. I appreciate it. Dr. Gupta, you keep up the good work, too.
All right, there we go.
So everybody keep up.
All right, I think you guys just heard what will be the new commercial for Dr. Gupta.
Do what Hank did. Call Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. For Steve Kane listeners, free consultations. And always the best price. Give Dr.
No difference in the chat for you? It looks different to me.
922-4633. 954-922-4633.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for them.
All right, we're back. That's right, coming up on 22 minutes after the hour. I'm Brian. It's Monday. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show. If you are new to the program, listening on one of our radio stations or on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, wherever you may be listening, this is not just the longest running radio show in the state of Florida on the radio since 1977. This is the most pro-Donald Trump broadcast anywhere in the world, I promise you. You will never hear me criticize President Trump. I may ask him why he didn't pardon Roger Stone, and when he gave me an answer, I'd probably say, okay, Mr. President, you're right, as always. But yeah, this is the most pro-Donald Trump broadcast anywhere in the world, I promise you that. Well, welcome back, everyone, on this Monday. I'll just respond to the taxes of Trump real quick. The reason the Democrats want his taxes, there's two reasons, and these are I think the same reason that the president doesn't want to release them. Number one, it's a fishing expedition, right? They want to go fishing. They have been investigating this president like you wouldn't believe since he came down the escalator, and since he started winning primaries, they really, so it's been 5 years, right? They spent, tens of millions of dollars on the Russia witch hunt and all these things. They've not been able to get anything on this guy. So they think that if they go through his taxes, they'll find some questionable deductions that they can make, or strange deductions that they can make an issue out of. But even still, if they have nothing like that, I think most of us would assume that the president's net income is much less than we might believe, because who knows how many corporations and things President Trump has set up. And they want to try to show us that he's not as rich as he says he is. And then we'll finally, he's a liar. He's not as rich. Even, you know how that goes. So those are the two things they're doing. And his tax returns, President Trump said they're about 5 feet tall and would fill up a whole room of paper, right? So this would be endless discussion, the taxes, if, he went through the, and, that's why they want them. And it's the same reason that he doesn't want to release them. All right, let's take some more calls. You're on the radio. Good morning. Hey, Richie.
I want to address this moron.
Which one? There's a lot of them around. Oh, okay.
God, okay. I have to get this off my chest, all right? First of all, he doesn't want to release it because he doesn't want every big prosecutor, liberal hack. So they'll have all these lawyers going into everything to you're exactly right, to pick it apart. And number two, the office of presidency, it's not about Trump, because if you let the Supreme Court really screwed up, you let the tax with anybody or any president, whether it be Republican or Democrat, you're going to get the other side going after the man.
Yeah.
They could do this. It's a total disaster. And he made his money before he went.
See, the other presidents that have released taxes, they do all their shady business through relatives. So nothing shows on their taxes. It's a big scam, like Biden with his son.
Well, they're written off.
We've never really had a working businessman president before, and they know they could pick that apart till doomsday.
Yeah, and I want to address this too, because I got to get this. I was on YouTube yesterday live. They showed New York City. This has to relate with this guy from Coral Springs. I was born and raised for 18 years in New York City. It was a beautiful city. When I've seen these slime balls, scumbags do to New York City, the city halls, these base property that they're squatting as a autonomous zone. It's one thing to be homeless and mentally ill, but it's another thing to be mentally ill and vote for a Democrat. Because
yeah.
It's really disgusting what they've done to New York City. I was in shock. And the mayor putting Black Lives Matter graffiti in the middle of Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, during a crime raid, although I think AOC says the crime is just for bread. They're out of bread. They're just committing all this crime for loaves of bread, AOC says.
Yeah, if you could vote for a Democrat in this country today, you might as well say I'm a communist.
Yeah.
Still can't say the word ask. He said ask.
I think he actually said ask. I think he said ask today. Did he say ask? I thought he said ask. I'll go back and rewatch the show later. Yeah.
And I know he's listening. He's a moron.
Yeah.
what he likes to hear it or not, you know. It's time for people, it's time for conservatives to stand up for this country. They're going after this president. This guy's a total fool. What has he done wrong for this country, my friend? He has done nothing wrong for this country. I will defend this president until his dying.
Oh, he's the greatest president ever. He's the greatest president ever.
Ever. The only one that's going to fight for the people. This guy wants a handout check. Al and Carl Springs probably want a handout check. I don't know what the hell you're looking for. You just have so much hatred for a president.
Well, I think what you would find with Al, right? You know, I think what you would find is it's habit. He's probably much older than he sounds, and he's been a Democrat his whole life, and he can't. You know, he's a Democrat by habit, probably.
Yeah, he's got AOC. Is that his idol? This moron that's in New York. Look what they've done to New York City, man. I mean,
it's a pit. You know, I went down to Miami on Saturday. I'm going to talk about this in a bit. I went down to Miami on Saturday, and Miami Beach, South Beach. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
All over the country, and this is.
Yeah. All right, Richie. Appreciate the call. Yeah. You know, I had to go down to Miami on Saturday. And I had to take my daughter down to Miami for a family thing. And I went to two places in Miami. Now, my understanding is Miami is under a mask order. Are they not? That Miami? When I say Miami, I mean Miami-Dade County. I still call it Dade County. They call it Miami-Dade County. How many of you guys still call it Dade County instead of Miami-Dade? But anyway, and by the way, liberals, Miami is a name of an Indian tribe. All that land down there is stolen from Native Americans, people. That's right. But anyway, I went down to Dade County on Saturday, spent the whole day there, was there actually till the evening hours, and I went down late in the afternoon. I went down to South Beach, and I've not been to South Beach in quite some time. I was shocked at what I saw on South Beach in Miami, and I'll tell you about it after the break because I want to take our breaks on time. I was late on the first break. I'm going to take this break on time, and we'll get back. I'll tell you what I saw down there. It's pretty shocking to me what I personally saw in Miami. Our number toll free 1-888-GO-CANE 1-888-465-2631. We'll be right back after this.
Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Avoid probate with a revocable living trust. $350 for single people, $450 for married couples. When you complete your trust with attorney Barry Siegel, he will give you a $100 gift certificate to Tavolino Italian Restaurant in Coral Springs. The Siegel Law Group, with offices throughout Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA 3782.
We are chatting today with Frank, the owner of two magnificent Ace Hardware stores. One, Deerfield Beach, 365 South Federal Highway, about a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough on the west side of Federal Highway.
Welcome, everyone. Does anyone notice any difference with Streamlabs?
Commercial Boulevard, half a block
Is the feed looking the same? Does it look different to you?
By the sea. Well, one of the things I noticed when I first walked
Does the
into
chat
Ace
look the
Hardware
same or
is that they
different?
carry such a wide
Is the
variety
video or audio
of
any different than
brands,
normal?
all under one roof. It's astounding.
That takes this new practice. It's called best brands. And under one roof, we have major categories. Let me give you an example of two. Yeti coolers, Preston handfuls, Milwaukee handfuls, Steel Tower.
Looks the same to you? Looks good?
Weber grills, Napoleon grills, Traeger grills.
I haven't looked. I'm going to look on my iPad in a bit.
Platinum dealer. We have the largest selection of Green products, all under one roof. All with people that are experienced.
Looks the same to you, Stephanie? Okay.
There are lots of Ace Hardware stores, but there are only two that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deerfield location, a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal, and of course the Beach Ace Hardware located
Looks
at
cleaner and sharper.
Commercial Boulevard.
The comments look nicer. I guess it depends. William, what device are you watching on?
Very, very special locations. Be sure to mention Steve Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You know, today's Monday, the 13th of July, And today is the last day of the 4th of July sale at Ace Hardware Deerfield and Beach Ace Hardware. So the 4th of July sale continues through today, the 13th. It's today. That's the last day. And, of course, they have everything you're looking for. There's also a great sale on Craftsman. It says here 20% off new Craftsman lithium-ion powered tools. And I've been replacing my old cheap tools that break with tools from Ace Hardware Deerfield and Beach Ace Hardware, and they are good quality tools, and the prices are out of this world. So Ace Hardware Deerfield, Beach Ace Hardware, today is the last day of the 4th of July sale. Take advantage of all of that. So I went down to Miami. I went to 2 places. Well, I had a family thing I had to go to. But I went to 2 other places. I went to South Beach, Miami Beach, and I went to a mall. And I'm not going to say the name of the mall because of what I saw. I don't want to get anybody jammed up. So I'm not going to mention the name of the mall. But Dade County, Miami, has been under some very strict orders. And I know they got a Republican mayor and things down there, but he acts like a never-Trumper lib. And what I saw down in Dade County and Miami Beach was unlike anything I've seen in a long time. So I go to South Beach late in the afternoon. I've not been to South Beach in quite some time. And this, I think, was the first time in my life I've been to South Beach without any tourists in town. Because there are no tourists in Florida right now. And it was a different demographic of people, I will tell you that much, than you would normally see there because there's no tourist. But it was packed. Miami Beach, South Beach was packed. The restaurants and bars, they're all doing these outdoor things, packed. The stores overloaded with business. And almost no one was wearing a mask. I couldn't believe. People are walking around, they're all over the place. Really no one to speak of was wearing a mask. I could not believe what I was seeing. It was strange. I had my mask. I know you guys give me a hard time about it, but I had my mask on. I've never it just was really shocking to me at how few people had masks on. Every once in a while I would see someone with a mask. But, and you know how much it cost me to park in South Beach? I got cheap parking. There are thieves down there. $28. Can you freaking believe? $28 to park. But no one was wearing masks. I was in shock because they've got a mask order everywhere down there. And I'm talking about walking around and everything. No mask. And social distancing, I don't even know if they know what that is in South Beach. I didn't see social distancing. I didn't see masks to speak of. And it was very strange. And then I went to a mall in Miami. And I saw something that I did not expect to see. In fact, I made a video. I took a video, put my camera on it, took a video of this. It was so shocking. I wanted to show my wife. I went to, after I left South Beach, I went to a mall in Miami. And everyone in the mall was wearing masks inside. There's no doubt about that. They were wearing masks inside. I went by, they had this very large kiosk that sells candy out of those buckets where you take a little shovel and you fill up your own bag with candy. It was open for business. And there were tons of people going into the community candy container, putting their hands in there with that little plastic shovel that's been touched by God knows how many people today and yesterday and the day after that, buying candy. I couldn't believe. And there were kids and there were adults and there were young and there were old. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And Dade County, they just don't care. But I'll tell you, you hear these stories about the Florida numbers, that have everyone freaked out. And in Dade County in particular, what's going on in Dade County is, from what I saw, is they're not adhering to any of the recommendations or guidelines that have been put in place all over the place. And it was strange. And when I saw people using the community, you know what I'm talking about, the malls, the community candy thing with that little plastic shovel, and you fill up your own bag, and then they weigh it, and then they charge you for the candy based on the weight. I could not believe people were using it. I couldn't believe it was open. When I saw it, I'm like, what is going on here? I thought maybe they're selling packaged candy, and no, I see people reaching in there, digging in, getting out, gummy bears and all kinds of things. I was like, this is crazy town, Miami. I know. It is very. So the numbers in Dade County, it's because they're not adhering to any of the guidelines, and I wonder why that is. I don't know. What is it about the population of Dade County? When I was at Walt Disney World the other day on Thursday, everybody was just social distancing, doing every little rule, walking around people, washing their hands, using sanitizer, wearing masks. And I'm down in Miami, and it's like the wild, wild west down there. So I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they're not adhering to anything. And when this is all over, I'm not going to forget what I saw, because when this is all over, and it will be at some point, probably after the election, and we get all the numbers and everything and what worked and what didn't work, when there's real analysis of everything that's been going on, we'll know whether or not it was a mistake what was going on in Dade County. But I'll tell you, I know there's been a lot of businesses in Miami that have been protesting because there's no in-restaurant dining on South Beach. Everything was out on the sidewalk, okay? But the sidewalk restaurants were jam-packed. And I started up at the Versace Mansion and walked all the way down to the end. And it was jam-packed. Every sidewalk restaurant, there were very few tables. And not only the social distancing thing they weren't doing down there, they have in the streets, they have women that are like the old cigar ladies of the 40s and 50s, where they wear the thing around. They sell cigars and shots and other things. I don't know. And they walk around the beach and everything. And there's nothing. I mean, there's just. It's like other than they're not being tourists and it just being locals. It was like a normal day on Miami Beach. It really was like it was a few years ago, except for the no tourist. Okay, and it was all locals, and I think it was busier with locals because there's so much that shut down. There's not as much to do as there may normally be. And I'll throw this last thing out because I hear this a lot in the news, and then we'll get into some of the political things. Don't you worry. I keep hearing stories in the cable news about people getting sick and dying after attending COVID parties. And I'm wondering if that's a real thing, COVID parties. That these are, or are they just going to gatherings? Do you understand what I mean? Are people really throwing parties and saying, you're invited to my COVID party? Because even Fox News Channel, that they had a story that a guy had died after attending a COVID party. Are these real? I'm not saying that there have not been such crazy things, but these people that they say have attended COVID parties, have they? Yeah, that sounds like fake news to me. I don't think many people would say, not many adults would get an invite, and who sends out, what do they do, text you? Come on over to the COVID party Saturday night. BYOB to the COVID party. Who would go to such a thing? I think that the idea of the COVID party is an urban legend. Maybe, there's a lot of urban legends that people believe. The razor blade and the apple at a Halloween that cause craziness. That never happened back in those days when that was being talked about all the time. Feminists burning their bras at these protests in Washington. That never happened. There's a lot of urban legends, fake news stories that get out there and people just accept as the truth. But I don't buy this narrative of the COVID parties. I think the COVID parties narrative in the news, including Fox News, is fake news. I think it's completely fake news. Okay? I mean, come on. Now, there are people who have done, like here in Florida, you'll hear about hurricane parties. Well, a hurricane party is not an irresponsible event. Hurricane parties, people will get together and hunker down and get through the storm together, drinking the night away, but they're still in a home and they've got the shutters up and they do everything you would do. It's not a hurricane party isn't on the beach, right, where the hurricane surge and everything is going to come and get you. Okay, hurricane parties are people get together in one place to get through the storm. The hurricanes come, they go, and they have a party through the storm, but they're under protection. I don't buy the COVID party narrative. I don't buy it at all. It seems like total BS, total fake news, and that's just my take on it, And I'm not going to get into this thing with the fake news narrative. I may tell you more about this soon, and I'm going to reference something without telling you any details of it right now, which I would not normally do, but it's an ongoing thing. There is someone that is a good friend of my wife and a good friend of mine who has become, through the cancel culture, a victim of fake news. And this story is on the verge of going national. And when it does, I will talk about it, okay? I'm hoping it doesn't. One of the reasons I'm not bringing it up is I don't want people to take to Twitter that are listening or something about it and start retweeting it and things like this. But someone that is a very good friend of my family, something happened in the last few days, and then the cancel, and it was nothing, they didn't do anything, but the cancel culture has taken to social media platforms and started a false narrative, a very false narrative about someone I know, and they're getting calls from media outlets now to comment on this cancel culture fake news narrative pushed out there about this person. And today and tomorrow it will determine if it goes further. There have already been news stories about it, but it hasn't hit the national television yet, and it very well may today, tomorrow, by midweek. And I'm just, when it does, I don't want it to, but when it's all over, I'm going to talk to you guys about it, because I'm seeing through our friends' experience how the cancel culture and the fake news media can destroy someone, because there's an attempt to do that for someone right now with someone that I'm pretty good friends with, and my wife is too, my whole family. And I wish I could tell you about it now, but it would be adding fuel to the fire. All right, let's take our last break of the first hour. It is Monday, people. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back.
Good morning. Good morning, Brian. You and I talk about cognition all the time when I call in. We have so many different options to try to help people with their cognition here. I will repeat what I say all the time. This is called age management, folks. It's not just, hey, come in and get some hormones and feel better. We have options. Hormones, by the way, is one of the greatest ways to get your cognition back, get your hormones back. We have other options. One of the biggest things going on these days is peptide therapy. These are actually FDA-approved therapies that are designed to help you regain your cognition. We have vitamins, intravenous vitamin therapies that are designed. All of these things, by the way, are absolutely 100% natural. This is exactly how the body is designed to have cognition. And Mr. Biden,
President Trump's advertising on my feed.
Anybody out there
on my YouTube channel. I wanted to look at how it's looking on Streamlabs, and look what came up. A Trump ad.
Your cognition. It's pretty cool.
I'll tell you.
Isn't that amazing? President Trump's advertising on my YouTube channel.
These things are going to happen. I'm going to lose my sex drive. I'm going to lose my hair.
Isn't that awesome?
Want to sleep in the middle of the day. I'm not going to have energy. I'm not going to be able to remember
that's exciting.
things. That's just part of aging. Well, these things are true, but you can do something about it with hormone replacement
I know.
pellet therapy. And hormone replacement pellet therapy is a totally 100% natural process, right? These are natural hormones. that
I
your
got to
body
tell you,
makes
I
naturally.
think it's a better connection with Streamlabs. I think the feed looks clearer.
Proteins that are in your body that are specifically designed to improve the health of your cells.
Steve
So
Kane
by
Show.
manipulating these things, we can help people get energy. We can help them lose body fat, increase their lean muscle mass,
Doug?
improve the health of their arteries, fix their fatty livers.
He did something I don't want to say now,
A lot of things
because
that
of
can be done. It's all
the
safe,
feed.
it's all effective. It's all
Okay.
pretty easy. But you have to come and see us if you want to get it done.
Well, that's the first step, and the consultation with Dr. Mitch
Yeah, I
Patel,
looked at
if you
it.
mention
Yeah, I
the
talked
Steve
about it
Kane
on
Show,
the show
is
Friday.
totally free. So call his office,
Yeah.
mention the Steve
Yeah,
Kane
I-
Show, avail yourself of the no-charge consultation with Dr. Mitch Patez, 561-953-5490, 561-953-5490, online, hormonetherapy.bocaratone.com. All right, Dr. Patez, we will talk later in the week.
Yes, we will. Have a great day, Brian. Thanks
right.
very much.
Take care.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. I just looked during the break because I'm doing a new. We live stream on YouTube every morning. Brian Craig on YouTube, and I'm using a new app to do the stream through. And I was just looking on my iPad, and this new app I'm using, the video feed looks to be in much higher quality than normal to me watching it. So I think I'm going to continue to do this for the time being. If you haven't been watching us on YouTube, you should. Brian Craig on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe. I live stream the radio show every morning, and I'm always putting things on YouTube, and I upload my podcast to YouTube as well. And I do random streams all the time on YouTube, and sometimes I upload videos that I don't go live with on YouTube. So check it out. I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're watching on, but on my iPad, the video quality looks a whole heck of a lot better. All right, so welcome back, everyone. Lots on the table today. Yeah, the COVID parties, I think that's just a fake news narrative. And if we have anyone that either lives, works, or travels lately to Miami Beach and some of the craziness that's going down there without anyone I was on Friday. I was at a business on Friday. I was out somewhere on Friday, and I was waiting around with some other people, and most people were not wearing masks, and I was. I wear my mask because it's the law, and my wife's a high risk person. I don't take chances. But anyway, a police officer pulled up and went inside the business, and man, everyone who was not wearing a mask put their mask on. Like, I couldn't believe how fast it was. They thought it was the mask police, and people were going to I guess start getting tickets or something by the cop for not wearing a mask. Everyone put their mask on, and they put it on quick. And then it turned out that the cop was just there to buy something like everybody else, that he was not enforcing any of this stuff. All right, now let me get into some of these issues of today. There's a story. I saw this over the weekend. I was waiting for it to develop and get in some other news sources before I tweeted it or anything. By the way, if you don't know, John Travolta's wife, Kelly Preston, has died. I mean, that was shocking to me. I was pretty shocked about that. Breast cancer. This story made it to the Daily Mail. When I first saw the story, it was in the Gateway Pundit, which I trust the Gateway Pundit, but sometimes things get out there, and I want to wait until it hits some other news sources before I go public with it, when it seems like, you want to be sure. This is in the Daily Mail. This happened in Indianapolis, Indiana. Young mother, age 24, is shot dead in front of her fiance after saying all lives matter during an argument with Black Lives Matter supporters. Let me read the story here. A young Indiana mother was shot dead in front of her fiancé after she reportedly told a group of Black Lives Matter supporters all lives matter over the 4th of July weekend. Jessica Whitaker, age 24, was taking a stroll with her fiancé Jose Ramirez and 2 others near the Indianapolis Canal Walk around 3 a.m. on the 5th of July. Well, let me tell you something. Not much good happens at 3 o'clock in the morning anywhere, even on the 5th of July. Jose Ramirez, he was the boyfriend, says that the 4 of them were hanging out when one of them used a slang version of the N-word. Fox 59 reports. They don't say what the word is. But a group of people nearby, reportedly comprised of 4 men and 1 woman, objected to hearing the phrase, and a confrontation ensued between the 2 sets of strangers. So they say they used a slang version of the N-word. I think I know what it is, but I'm not going to say it. During the argument, the offended individuals... See, now this is the thing now. Things happen all the time that offend me, and they have my whole life. I'm out in public, and I see, when I saw people using this community candy thing at the mall in Miami over the weekend, that offended me. But see, liberals believe that they have a constitutional right to not be offended. Anyway, during the argument, the offended individuals reportedly shouted, "Black Lives Matter," to which either Whitaker or someone else responded, "All lives matter." The victim's father confirmed with the Daily Wire that his daughter said all lives matter during the exchange. Daily Wire, that's Ben Shapiro's online publication. Her boyfriend Ramirez said both groups brandished guns at each other. So the Black Lives Matter people had guns. The white girl who yelled all lives matter, her boyfriend Jose, he had a gun, and they all took their guns out. Ramirez, that's the boyfriend Jose, said both groups brandished guns at each other, but eventually talked through the issues, fist bumped, and walked away from one another. It was squashed, and they went up the hill and left, we thought. But they were sitting on St. Clair waiting for us to come under the bridge, and that's when she got shot, says Ramirez. A suspect reportedly began shooting from a nearby bridge and fled the scene shortly after. Ramirez told WTHR television that he had his arms around Whitaker when she was fatally struck. "I was actually holding her when it happened. She just fell," he said. He admits he opened fire back at the suspects, but said it was just a reaction. "I didn't see nobody. I didn't hit nobody." So there was a gun battle. And I'm assuming that Jose here's gun was legally owned and that he has a permit to carry it, because he's telling the local news that he had a gun and fired shots. She was rushed to a local hospital where she succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced dead. Before her death, she was a home health nurse. She planned to attend school in August and get married next year. She leaves behind a 3-year-old son, Grayson. And it's pretty sad. But, okay. They're very light on details here. But they don't give us information in any of the stories about the boyfriend's gun. Is he a concealed weapon permit holder? What are the gun carry laws in Indianapolis? I don't know. They don't get into it in any of the news accounts on this. But my first reaction would be, and again, she should not have been shot dead. There's no getting around that. I mean, things got out of hand. But to me, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like gang activity. Doesn't it? Does this sound like a racial incident or gang related? I mean, this guy here, Jose and his girlfriend, there were 4 of them they're using a slang version of the N-word, which I know what it is. I'm not going to say it, but they use a slang word of the N-word near a group of black people who were with Black Lives Matter. Who goes around talking that way, you know? And it's crazy, especially like this in this climate. And who talks that way that's got a gun? It's very weird, very strange, and I don't think we got the whole story here. And I know a lot of people that are conservative are going to grab onto this story. They already have. I've seen it on social media. Oh, she said all lives matter. She got it. No, there's more to it than that. In fact, the first stories I saw, I didn't see the slang version of the N-word mentioned in the stories. Maybe it was there. I didn't notice it. I think I would have noticed that. And people without reaction take sides on these issues. I'm going to, just like when the wife poisoned her husband with the fish tank cleaner, and they were blaming Trump with the hydroxy. Remember all of that? People rush to things on this. Maybe I'm rushing, but I'm going to predict that if this story gets fleshed out and we get a lot of details on it, I think we're going to find it's gang related. And this guy with the gun, this is another example, by the way, of I'm not opposed to people who have concealed weapon permits. I don't carry a gun. I don't currently have a concealed weapon permit. I'm a gun owner, but I don't carry guns. I believe that the guns escalate things. Always. Almost always, I should say. Shouldn't say always, but almost always escalate things. The boyfriend, see, what we don't have is who pulled out the guns first. I mean, look at this couple we were talking about last week that were at the Chipotle, and they were being verbally assaulted by the woman and her daughter, and then they came out of their van with the guns and said, "Get back," and they're facing charges. The couple in St. Louis, that's a little different because that was their home. But walking around town with guns, even if you are a legal concealed weapon permit holder or where they have open carry have them, to me, escalates things in a place where they wouldn't go. Most people, if it looked as if there was going to be a confrontation, would walk away. But a lot of times people with guns, they have a little more courage because they're armed, and boom. That couple at Chipotle, we wouldn't have even heard about that story if they didn't have guns with them when they went to Chipotle. This girl with the all is not dead because she said all lives matter. Okay? She's not dead because she said all lives matter. That's the way a lot of people are going to promote this story. She's dead because someone in her group, a couple of things happened, used some version of the N-word that they didn't disclose around black people, and they had guns. And when the black people heard them say it and got upset, they got confrontational with them because they felt safer that they had guns. They weren't like, "Hey man, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I don't know, what a jerk." Or they didn't de-escalate, they escalated things. So, and I know a lot of people that are conservative get upset with me on this. I just believe that walking around with a gun, even if you're a legal owner, can get you in more trouble than it can help. It's more likely to escalate than de-escalate. It's more likely to get you in instead of out of trouble, in my opinion. And a story that she is not dead because she said all lives matter. She's dead because one of her friends used the N-word and her boyfriend had a gun. That's why. I mean, at what point was he shooting randomly? He said he didn't see anybody. He was just shooting randomly. My goodness. At what point did Jose do that? After she was shot or before? I don't know. Things are very sketchy, very strange. But conservatives need to be careful not to jump on this story and say, "Look, she said all lives matter and she's dead." Maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Okay? But we don't know that yet, and it sounds like some other things are in play. All right, 1 hour down, 2 to go. I'm Brian Craig. Our number toll-free, the phones are working today. Very excited. They weren't working on Friday. Phones are working today. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be back with hour number 2 after this.
9.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
Attention homeowners, this is Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. I'm here to cut your electric bill and save you a lot of money. Perhaps even eliminate your electric bill altogether. We do this by making your entire home energy efficient, by upgrading some or all of the following: roofs, doors, windows, insulating your attic, AC systems and ducts, hot water heaters, and even adding solar. Energy efficient improvements that actually pay for themselves over a short period of time.
Yeah, the video quality seems much
savings on your electric bill, pay for all or part of your low monthly
much better to me.
This program is government sponsored and gives you up to 30 years to pay. Requires no credit check, no money down, no income verification, and no payments for up to 18 months. You only need to be current on your mortgage and taxes for the last 3 years to qualify. Energy savings and hurricane solutions made easy. Call 954-939-1500. 954-939-1500 to start saving money now.
Does your life insurance policy only pay someone if you die? The new life insurance policies allow you to access your benefits even while you are still alive. Due to changes in the insurance industry, all life insurance carriers in 2020 have adjusted their premiums to your advantage. Life insurance rates
with the
have
guns
been
and
lowered due to the updated mortality
the
tables.
peaceful
People
protesters.
are living
Yeah.
longer,
Their guns
and
were
that means life
yeah.
insurance premiums are
Yeah.
lower.
Peaceful
Call
protest.
Debbie
Yeah, the
and
St.
Dan
Louis
at
couple, yeah, their AR-15 they took.
954-753-8080 to learn more and for a free review of your existing life insurance policy. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call
Welcome everyone. If you're not subscribed, subscribe.
South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll free 1-855-FLA-3782.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve K.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2 has begun. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. 4 minutes after 7 o'clock in the morning. We're back live Monday morning, the 13th of July. And Steve will be back tomorrow, just so you guys know. And the reason Steve was coming in today, but the elevator is out of order. And yeah, our elevator's broken. And we're on the 5th floor, and Steve's not walking up 5 flights of stairs and back down. That'd be crazy town. So Steve will be back in studio. I walked up the 5 flights of stairs, and I was like, oh my goodness. It was that early in the morning. Forget about it. So Steve will be back tomorrow for that. Okay, now there's a big fake news story that's circulating out there. I don't buy any of this story. By the way, we're still looking. I didn't ask the callers in the first hour when they called in about this. I'd forgotten. But why do you think the president did not pardon Roger Stone? Why did he commute the sentence and leave Roger Stone a convicted felon? Any speculation on that? I have no idea why he did that. But there's a big fake news story out there. Trump is desperate to find White House leakers with staff phones being searched. I don't believe this story. This is a fake news story spread by the fake news to act as if they're credible. The mainstream media have no sources inside the White House that know what's going on, okay? And they often cite sources close with the president, sources intimate with the president. Let me tell you, anyone who's close or intimate at any level with the president feel about the White House press corps and the mainstream media the same way that you do and the same way that I do. They hate them. They're not telling them anything. And this is very difficult because the media, since they have this friendly relationship with all these establishment politicians, especially the Democrats during the Obama years, they're used to getting information and having sources, and they've had no sources for an entire administration almost, okay? The first term at least. And they find out about things when you do. They find out about things when I do, watching it on television. They have no advanced knowledge and they have no sources, but they need to act as if they do. So the media are floating this fake story that Trump is desperate to find out who the source, the leaks are in the White House, and he's doing this search of the phones and everything. Lies, all lies. If they're doing any phone search, if that's true, they're probably trying to find out if they have TikTok or any monitoring devices that they're unaware of on their phones, but they have no sources in the. But if the media are acting as if there are, okay? So the media, when they go out there and say sources close to the president tell us, they have no sources close to the president. But if they create a false narrative that he is desperate to find leaks inside the West Wing, it'll give credibility to their lies that they have sources. I tell you, these are some real creepy people in the media. Very devious, aren't they? I mean, they are just classless and devious. All right, so the president wearing his mask on Saturday at Walter Reed. Now, I'll talk a little bit about this. I mean, I didn't like it. When I first heard that he was going to wear a mask on Saturday, I was like, oh, don't do it. Remember Biden? And then when I heard it was going to be at Walter Reed, I'm still like, oh, well, I understand he's going to Walter Reed, and that's where all the sick people are in the hospital, but I still didn't like the idea. And then Trump comes down the hallway looking like Reservoir Dogs. It just looked amazing. I mean, it looked, as people are saying, it looked badass. There's no getting around it. He looked so cool, surrounded by that entourage on Saturday in the mask. It was absolutely amazing. And, you know, the media, they were a little... They didn't really know what to make of it, because they're attacking Trump and, you know, about time. Is he going to wear it all the time? And they were doing all of these things trying to discount it, you know, after they've been begging him and pleading with him to wear one for a long time. But I think the media, they were very upset that he looked so cool. Didn't it look like a scene out of a Tarantino movie or Bad Boys, where they're walking, you know what I mean, where like the stars are walking and it's in slow motion? And it kind of almost looked like it was in slow motion. And whoever at the White House came up with that, he didn't just walk around the corner in the front surrounded by admirals and generals. It did not just, that didn't happen on its own. That was planned. Whoever planned that is a rock star. I mean, was that Mac? Who do you think planned? I don't know. But it looks so freaking cool. Don't you all want... How many of you... Now, be honest with me here. How many of you have been in the anti-mask movement? Two things. Who thought that he looked super cool and badass on Saturday with his entourage. Were they walking in slow motion? Looked like it to me. And how many of you in the anti-masker movement would wear a mask if you could look that cool in it and have that same mask that the president had with the presidential seal on the side? And if you noticed how he turned and the seal was right there, that whole thing was one of the most choreographed moments of I think maybe the first really truly choreographed moment of the Trump presidency. But they've been begging him to wear masks. And, you know, the thing with the mask is, you know, we talk about this a lot. The media and the left want people to wear masks all the time to keep a sense of fear, urgency, scared. You know, it's being reported this morning that President Trump may sign an executive order giving Dreamers a pathway to citizenship. And anytime we talk about this, why does he have to sign an executive order to allow Dreamers to become citizens? The Democrats tell us they want it. Trump now wants it. Why can't they just pass this legislation through Congress? Well, it's because here's the big secret that everybody knows that no one talks about. The Democrats don't want a solution to the Dreamer issue. The Dreamers live in fear. They're in constant fear. They don't know if they're going to be deported and taken away from their family. They don't know. Their whole family may be deported unless they have children that are natural born U.S. citizens. But if they're married to another dreamer, or it might just be them and they're the breadwinner. You've seen the horror stories. And the Democrats, dreamers vote even though they're not supposed to. Okay? There's a lot of illegal voting going on, okay? And, we understand this. The Democrats, even when Obama was president, never solved the dreamer issue because they want the dreamers living in fear, always dependent upon them. Right? And when Trump signs an order giving the dreamers a pathway to citizenship, watch Pelosi and the Democrats tear it apart. They're going to be very upset about this because they don't want the dreamer issue resolved. They want them living in constant fear, constant state of anxiety, constant crisis. Could you imagine what it's like not knowing if you're going to get deported every day and you're a dreamer? It's terrible. I support at least most of them staying here. Not the ones that, like he talks about criminals and things, but most of them. They've been here since they were children. What do they know about where they're from? Come on. I think most people that support Trump would be very supportive of a huge chunk of the dreamers being able to become U.S. citizens. But regardless of that, okay, the mask is the same thing as not having the dreamer issue resolved. And the Democrats, all they would do with the dreamers is give them a status that was okay for a couple of years, and then they have to revisit it and live in fear again. But they're always there in fear, dependent upon the Democrat. The masks are the same thing. Keep people in fear, keep a crisis going. So Trump wore the mask. He looked like totally cool. I mean, he couldn't look cooler than that. And I found this online this morning. This is Jake Tapper on CNN. Back in February, had a doctor on, not Fauci, another doctor, and Jake Tapper and his guest in February, which isn't that long. We got March, April, May, June, July, right? Wait, let's see. March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, 5 months ago. 5 months ago, Jake Tapper and his guest thought wearing masks was a bad idea for a number of reasons. This is Jake Tapper, CNN, in February on masks.
The FDA warned that some medical products such as face masks or gowns could be at risk for shortages. Does wearing the face mask prevent coronavirus from spreading? Should people start stockpiling them?
No, and maybe I'll explain this because this is one of the most common questions I get.
I wonder what that electronic sound was. It was like one of the messages from They Live went bad. So the doctor's telling Jake Tapper people should not wear masks.
Stockpiling them now?
No, and maybe I'll explain this because this is one of the most common questions I get from colleagues and from family members alike. So why do we put surgical masks on patients? So if you have a cough or you're sneezing, like you might have the flu, every time you cough and sneeze, droplets of that contain that virus particles are coming out of your mouth. And so when we put a surgical mask on a patient, we're containing that from spreading. If you're healthy and walking about, there's really no need to be wearing the mask, and I do worry.
CNN, no need to wear the mask.
One, it's a false sense of security. Number two, it eventually will impact the supply, and we're already feeling the impact of the supply at the hospital and in healthcare settings where we need those masks both to mask patients who are ill
Steve's
and
not
also
here
to protect healthcare
today.
workers.
I'll be back tomorrow.
There's a growing number of cases in Europe.
See, there you go, boom. So CNN, Jake Tapper, don't wear masks. They don't do any good. So, yeah, but now we can keep the crisis going. We can keep people afraid if we just... I tell you, the media. And thankfully for the internet, because these things that, years ago, something that happened in February, it happened, it gone, we'd never know. And now everything's readily available to us. So what happened, right? All right, listen, let's take our first break of the second hour. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show. That's right, our number toll-free from anywhere, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. We'll be right back after this.
We are chatting today with Frank, the owner of two magnificent Ace Hardware stores. One, Deerfield Beach, 365 South Federal Highway, about a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough on the west side of Federal Highway. And the other, Beach Ace Hardware, located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, half a block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea. How many years have you owned this business?
I've been in the hardware business for over 40
40 years, Steve.
If I have a home project that I'm doing, there are so many around the house, that's the big thing today. What's the difference of my experience if I go to Ace Hardware as opposed to these major impersonal chain stores?
Oh, there's a huge difference. The basic difference is customer service. We're an old-time fashion hardware store. We have experienced people that are working our stores. Our employees are just top-notch. They're very experienced. They know their business. When you're doing a project, you can come into the store and you can get somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody that will like to work with you, to find you the right project, the right pieces, the first time. You can get in and out with the right material.
There are lots of Ace Hardware stores, but there are only 2 that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deerfield location, a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal, and of course the Beach Ace Hardware located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, a half block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea. Very, very special locations. Be sure to mention Steve Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome back. And remember now, today's the 13th. Today is the final day of the 4th of July sales event at Ace Hardware Deerfield and Beach Ace Hardware. That's right. Isn't that amazing? I know. Beach Ace Hardware Deerfield, Ace Hardware, the 4th of July sale event ends today, so head on over there, take advantage. Okay, now, these stories of releasing criminals. There's a new one. California to release 8,000 inmates in an attempt to combat COVID-19 spike in prisons. Okay. This crime, and this gets into AOC, which I'll play in a minute. There's a huge spike in crime going on in New York City. Has it occurred to anyone in power in the state of New York that maybe there's a spike in crime because, 1, they have the no bail if you get arrested, and 2, they've been emptying out the jails? Epstein's girl, they were talking about, I heard someone talk about sending her to Rikers because Rikers is empty. It's an empty island. Rikers Island is empty. Does that have anything to do with the spike in crime? And so far as letting people out because of COVID-19 in California, 8,000 inmates? I mean, how many inmates do they have in a cell? 1 or 2? You're telling me they can't take the COVID inmates and isolate them together with other COVID people? If you have it and you're with somebody that has it, you're not going to get any worse, right? And just feed them in their cells. What is riskier? Think about this now. What is riskier? Having some people with COVID in prison, locked up behind bars and walls and barbed wire, or having 8,000 criminals on the streets in the community, which is more dangerous? To me, it seems you're more likely to lose lives and lose more lives by freeing 8,000 prisoners in California. And there's no doubt about it, the crime spike in New York, there's several things involved in it, but it's the mayor's support of Black Lives Matter who's been doing things, but there is no question that there is a connection in the rise in crime between the no bail, that's one, but emptying out the jails. And I would like someone to, do they arrest people anymore in New York? What do you have to do to get arrested in New York these days? But I'd like to see some numbers on the guys committing the crimes. How many of them were in jail this year and released because of COVID? So here's AOC talking right out of a college lecture about the crime in New York.
So why is this uptick in crime happening? Well,
see, don't you like this college professor thing? This is someone who's never lived life. The optic of crime. This is not a college lecture. This is real life. People are getting killed, wounded, hurt, injured.
So why is this uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. Do we think this has to do with the fact that there's record unemployment in the United States right now? The fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession? Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent.
Oh, wait a minute. Scared to pay? Why would you be scared to pay your rent? I understand people not paying their rent. I understand that. But why would they be afraid to pay their rent? I don't understand that one. But anyway, let's get back. AOC, the wisdom of AOC.
Since the Great Recession. Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent. And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
So that guy that was crossing the street that got shot in the head, I saw on TV the other night, right? He was shot by someone who just was looking for a loaf of bread. If they're doing all this crime because they're out of work, why doesn't de Blasio and Cuomo open up the state? I saw today there were no COVID deaths in New York City yesterday for the first time since this began, right? And yeah, I know, even with the math that they use, there were no deaths. Let them go back to work, AOC.
It has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent. And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night. Maybe it's the fact that unemployment provisions have not been given to everyone. Maybe it's because of the fact that some people still haven't gotten their stimulus checks yet.
Wow. Yeah. Some people haven't gotten their stimulus checks yet. Are there people that haven't gotten them yet? Is there anyone out there that hasn't gotten their stimulus check? Listen. I know the wisdom of AOC. I understand. Mini AOC makes... Does everyone follow Mini AOC on Twitter? If you don't, you should. She's very funny. Mini AOC is hilarious. What AOC's talking about there is so just stupid on so many levels. I mean, she's like, I don't know who's dumber, AOC or Beto. I guess we got to deal with her more and forever. Beto's out, but, the wisdom of it, they just want bread. Is that really what's going on? It doesn't look like they're out there looking for loaves of bread to me, but AOC is telling us, I want you to think about this. AOC is telling us that the rise in crime is not because Black Lives Matter and the mayor and the Democrats have gotten Black Lives Matter riled up and are organizing. The rise in crime isn't because they've emptied out the jails, that Rikers Island is an abandoned island now. It's a deserted island, Rikers Island. That's not why there's a spike in crime. It's because people are hungry and they need bread. They're looking for bread. If that's true, why are you attacking Goya Foods? AOC and what's the guy's name from Hamilton, Carmen Miranda? I forgot his name. I forgot his name. Lin-Manuel something. So the crime, people are getting hurt. There's crime because they're hungry. They want food. These are crimes for bread. These are food crimes. Okay? Goya has donated millions upon millions of food items in New York City. I've heard some astronomical numbers, of food that Goya has not just donated to people inside the city, but in particular in AOC's district. So if people are becoming crime victims, if people are turning to crime, if things are getting violent because they have no food, why is AOC and Lin-Manuel, I forgot is it Noriega? I don't know his name, from Hamilton, and Julian Castro, why are they attacking the company that has been feeding New Yorkers for free during this crisis, Goya? Makes no sense, does it? Well, maybe, I know, she did that. That was on Zoom, AOC there. I don't think anybody in the Zoom chat brought that up to her. And I'd like to know, I hope some people bring that point up today as this audio is played endlessly all over the media. Goya, I heard 90 million cans, I heard someone say. I don't know how many it is, but Goya has been donating food to New York City in particular. And AOC said that she tweeted that people can make their own, I don't know, some Spanish dishes, I don't even know how to pronounce, instead of buying or picking up the Goya. And AOC, Should someone turn away free Goya food? If Goya is so bad because the head of the company praised the president at the White House the other day, if someone is given free food from Goya, since they're giving, and I don't think they've stopped donating food, Goya, have they? I haven't heard anything about it, even though they're under attack by the left. Should someone refuse it, since they're such a hateful company, because they said something kind about the President of the United States? And I'll remind, at the President's first State of the Union, after the midterm, if you remember this, last year, it wasn't his first state, it was his first State of the Union. I guess it was the State of the Union after the midterm. AOC stood up and applauded the president when President Trump said, under his presidency, there have been more women elected to Congress in our history. And she got up in her white outfit and started applauding the president, gave him a standing ovation with the rest of the squad. And if you go and you watch the press event with the head of Goya, he said nice things, but he didn't give the president a standing ovation like she did, so should AOC get boycotted? There are so many conflicts with AOC, so many conflicts with the left, right? And this story here is, but I'm telling you, I've been saying this since she won the primary. AOC is being groomed by the Democrats to be the president of the United States when she's old enough to run. She's not old enough. The first thing they want, their first move is to have her replace the creep with the spectacles, Schumer, as the senator, right? They want Schumer out and her in as the senator. But she's not old enough. Did she just turn 30? I think she just turned 30, so she's old enough for the Senate. Not old enough for the presidency yet. But they are grooming her to be president after she replaces Schumer in the Senate. We're going to be hearing from AOC for the rest of our lives. And she very well may be the first female president. She may be the first Latina president, the first woman president, first female president. It is likely to be AOC. I'm telling you, I've been saying this from the beginning. I know a lot of people don't like when, but that's, so you got to, I'm not saying she's going to be, but she's being groomed to be that. But this Goya, how can you say that there's crime is increasing, violent crime, because people are without food, and then attack a company that is giving free food to the people of the city that you say are turning to crime because they don't have food for their kids? It doesn't make sense. Now, if she came out and say, I don't like Goya complimenting and praising President Trump, but we do welcome the free food donations that they're making to my constituents in New York City. I don't hear her saying that. All right, it's 7:30 in the morning. I'm Brian. Let's take our break for the bottom of the hour. When we get back, there's more to talk about, all right? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is Steve Kane for attorney Barry Siegel. Barry did a great job for me and my family when we needed a revocable living trust. Listen to one of our listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise Barry Siegel. And one of the most important things about sponsors is integrity. And you have to know that you're dealing with an honest person. I had to go up to Myrtle Beach with my sister because her husband died, and I was helping her out. She had a trust and everything. She had not revised this trust since 1997. And Barry says every 3 years at least you gotta. I called Barry's office because I had a question. I let the secretary know. I said, look, I'm calling from South Carolina. I know the laws are different, and I'm just asking for information for my sister. Now, most people would just blow you off, right?
Hey, Scott, it's Brian. I want to see if you wanted to do a call in.
Minutes, Barry himself called.
Okay, hold on.
I asked my questions and so on, and he answered me. It's quite a while with him. And talked about a lot of things, and this and that. But I wanted to say, character, integrity.
You don't trust AOC?
These are the most important things with sponsors, and all of your sponsors, because I've dealt with a lot of them. They all have that you can trust them, and you're getting a fair shake.
Do what Ray did. Call attorney Barry Siegel right now. Toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. That's 1-855 toll free FLA-3782. Tell him Steve sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. And let me tell you, we've had some hot days. That heat index has been getting up over 100 degrees here in South Florida lately. And on the line we have Scott from Cut My Kilowatts, who's going to put your home in the shade. Scott, can you tell people how this radiant barrier that you install in people's homes works and why they should call you and have it installed ASAP?
Well, it works just like a white reflective roof works. And I'm sure that most people have seen these communities where all their roofs are snow white color and they reflect all the heat back and off of them. The roofs don't get hot. It keeps the house cool. So basically the radiant barrier is an aluminum foil tarp that's installed on the underside of the roof that you have, and it reflects the heat back up through your roof instead of letting it heat up the attic. And that cuts the heat load off the house, cuts the AC runtime in half, and really cuts the electric bill. And we had come on with the pandemic sale, and we with the product half off, and the $500 and the $1,000. That went so well that we just recently got caught up on a bunch of our work where we can actually start taking some more work like that in our schedule. So I was going to extend the sale price for the Steve Kane listeners at least till the end of this month. We'll see how it goes with the response, because we are on other radio stations too.
Okay, now what is the discount? What is the pandemic special you're offering exactly?
$500 if you do 2,000 square feet or more of radiant barrier, and if you go up to 4,000 square feet, it's $1,000.
Oh my goodness! So I mean that's a tremendous, because this is an inexpensive thing to have installed. So that is a humongous savings. And now once the radiant barrier is installed, how much cooling can people expect to see right off the bat in their home?
If we do the garage, which is not air conditioning, temperature of the garage usually drops 5, 10, 15 degrees, usually around 10 degrees.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it takes a huge heat load off the house. The attic drops 30, 40 degrees in temperature. So your ducts aren't in that hot temperature. Your air conditioning is not getting hot from the roof and the radiant energy wave. I mean, it shuts all that off. So it really just is a game changer for the house. And there's nothing as inexpensive and that can be as easily installed in one day that saves you as much energy as the roof.
Well, this is a great deal. Well, I want to thank you, Scott, for offering that special to our listeners, to allow that to continue through the month of July. Give Scott a call. This number rings directly to his cell phone, 954-939-1500. 954-939-1500. Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. Talk to him about the radiant barrier and put your home in the shade. All right, Scott, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, take care. Wow, that's a great deal. Wow, I did not know he was going to extend the special. I had no idea. All right, now I saw, this is just so insulting. I saw a story today that has Biden up, of course, and everywhere, but 5 points up in Florida. I mean, come on. Come on. Give me a break, right? Well, listen to this. Now, this was on Fox over the weekend. Michigan Rep. Alisa Slatkin warns Democrats about polls favoring Biden. That's right. She said the Trump vote is fundamentally undercounted. In an interview with Politico, Slatkin expressed her skepticism about polls that show Biden holding a substantial lead over President Trump ahead of November. I don't believe it, Slatkin. And keep in mind, she's a Democrat. She's a Democrat. I don't believe it, Slatkin told liberal Politico. Listen, if anyone tells me they can accurately predict what major events are coming in the remainder of 2020, I'll give them $1,000. This has been the year of the black swans. I don't for 1 minute think this presidential race is safe in anyone's column. I've been literally begging people to ignore these polls. They're a snapshot in time. And if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that we have no idea what's coming next. She talks about a conversation she had with a pollster. Now, keep in mind, she's a Democrat. She's talking to a Democrat pollster, right? The pollster said, she says this of the pollster, He told me that they fundamentally undercounted the Trump vote, that the Trump voter is not a voter in every single election, that they come out for Trump, so they're hard to count, the Congresswoman told Politico. I don't, so I know this is a slip. See, this is one of the few times, the Democrats, people always say on the right, you can criticize the Democrats all day long, but they always stick together. She spoke out. She wasn't supposed to say this. I'm sure that because it's Monday. The story, I saw it on Fox over the weekend. I am sure she will walk this back because she broke the secret. And the reason that the polls are undercounting Trump voters is because they're push polls to give people the false impression that the Democrats are doing well. And what she's doing here is she's afraid that these fake polls that prop Biden up are going to depress their voter turnout. So she's in a panic. I promise you she'll walk this back, or they'll have some Democrat correct the record and put in proper context what she means by this. But yeah, Trump voters, they're not undercounted, they're just not being counted. Okay? And the polls, I've been saying this for, they're all fake. The polls are fake. I don't even know if they actually poll people. I honestly don't. Why bother? If the result is already known, and if they actually poll people, who knows that their results are the ones that end up in the poll? They could fill in the blanks with anything they want, right? They don't have to write down what the person on the phone tells them. They can write anything down there. They may actually go through a calling center process just to look as if they're doing something right, but I don't buy any of this, okay? And it's not that they're being undercounted. She's even being, they're not being undercounted. They're not being counted because they want to try to depress our voter turnout, when in fact they're depressing their voter turnout. And I'll tell you, we are going through a crisis right now that we've not gone through in modern times. And, the Democrats in the media, I've heard more than one mainstream media anchor say that, we're in a wartime situation and the president won't acknowledge it. I think he has acknowledged it. He used the War Powers Act to make companies make respirators that we ended up not needing, but others will around the world, so that's fine. They got them. He's well aware of this. And throughout the history of the United States, so now if somebody knows when this has happened, please let me know, but the media keep telling me, wartime scenario. When has an American president lost re-election during time of war? To my knowledge, never. I don't think a president has ever lost an election during wartime. Ever. Because when there's a national crisis going on, people don't want to change leadership, no matter who the president is, because they know if you did, like say for example, Trump were to lose to any Democrat, not someone as checked out as Joe Biden. I'm talking about, let's just say it's Governor Cuomo. Say Trump were to lose to Governor Cuomo. Well, we're right now in a big battle, not just an economic battle, because there's a lot of economic troubles going on in the country, right? But we've got this COVID issue. You bring in a new administration, even one whose mind's together and they're coherent, there's a transition period. It takes weeks, if not months, to get everybody in place and get everything working. And you have many months of nothing getting done. In fact, during the time that you have the incoming president as president-elect, the sitting president, especially if they've lost an election, can't get anything done. No one will listen to them or do anything. They have no power. They have no juice with governors or anyone because they can't get them to get things done because they're not going to be around in a few months. And then you get a new administration that takes weeks or months to get in place and get organized. In times of crisis like this, I don't care who Trump was running against, or even if he wasn't doing a great job, which he is, he'd win. Because no one is going to allow the country to go through 4 to 6 months of chaos in the executive branch during a crisis like we're dealing with now between the pandemic and the economy. It just would not happen in a million years. And that's enough to show you that the polls are all wrong. Now, you know, I know that people don't think about it this way, but come on, you guys know that I'm right. You know, it's amazing though with Biden. I mean, this guy just, you know, the media. It's amazing that Republicans win any election, really, when you think about it, because Democrats get a free pass on everything they do and say. They're never held accountable, and Republicans are held accountable to these very high saintly standards, and even when they've done nothing wrong, they're trying to hold them accountable on things they haven't done or said. And Joe Biden, just on the fact of his mental state, it's a joke. I mean, he's not a come on. Can someone honestly tell me that Joe Biden is a credible candidate? And I found this clip this morning on Twitter. This is Joe Biden in January, and this is probably one of the most racist things a presidential candidate has said since the development of the color television, right? You've got to, you know, right? So there may have been a candidate who said something like this before we had color TV. A presidential candidate. But I don't think a presidential candidate has said this since we've had color TV. Now listen, this is Joe Biden, and this isn't something from 73 or 78 or 92. This is from January 2020. Listen to Joe Biden and what he said and what he says here.
The culture, our culture, our culture is not imported from some African nation or some Asian nation. It's our English jurisprudential culture, our European culture.
I know, you would think that was at the Aryan Nation compound where that was being given, you know, at the... Yeah. Joe Biden in January, and look at it, this isn't based on some African culture. Does it get more racist than that? My goodness. And what about the Asians too? Where's George Takei on this one? He's always tweeting about Trump. I'm going to tweet that out there and tag George Takei with it, see if we can get him to comment on it. In this era of Black Lives Matter politics, how does a president get away, a presidential candidate get away with saying something like that in the BLM era? It's because the media are Democrat activists. I was listening to, I think it was Brian Stelter yesterday was talking to someone on CNN. It was definitely CNN. I think it was Brian Stelter talking to someone, and they were talking about McEnany. And, he was talking to, was it Jonathan Carl Stelter yesterday? Maybe some of you saw this. And they were talking about how prior to Trump, the press secretary's job was much different than it is today with McEnany. He said McEnany is an advocate for the president. And press secretaries in the past were not advocates for the president. They were public servants. Did any of you hear this yesterday? I about drove into a ditch, okay, when I heard this on the road. And this is a very interesting thing because it got me thinking about these past press secretaries. And I think it was Jonathan Carl who said that. I can't swear to it, but it was definitely on Brian Stelter's CNN show yesterday. And I mean, so they're talking about all of this has changed with Trump. So they're talking about all the press secretaries like Dana Perino for George Bush. They were public servants, not advocates for the president. The press secretary is supposed to be an advocate for the president. What they don't like in the media is that we've got this press secretary who's young and pretty, who's kicking their butt every day, and they can't handle it. So what do they say? Well, she's a campaign advocate. She's not a real press secretary. All right, listen, we'll take our last break of the second hour. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631, 1-888-465-2631. I have had people calling me like crazy about any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs and their coronavirus COVID-19 testing. You know, the schools are going back, by the way. Schools are going back. And you want to have your kids tested too. I think people should get tested, have their families tested, get their kids tested. so that when your kids go back to school, and they will be going back to school, you can show that they've had their COVID test. And you know, I'm thinking it's going to probably be required. I remember when I moved to Florida from Ohio, I had to go get a physical, and I had to get some more shots that I thought I already had, but and I had to show my immunizations before I could start classes in Florida. I think we very well may see that. And, any lab test now of Coral Springs, any lab test now of Boca Raton, they offer COVID-19 testing, coronavirus testing. They also have the antibody testing. And, the coronavirus testing is just a finger test, and you get the results in 15 minutes. You walk in, 15 minutes later, you walk out, and positive or negative for coronavirus at any lab test now of Boca and Coral Springs. And get this, any lab test now of Coral Springs and any lab test now of Boca Raton offer the lowest price on COVID-19 coronavirus testing in South Florida. That's right, we did research on this last week, and it is true. Any lab test now of Coral Springs, any lab test now of Boca, the lowest price on COVID-19 coronavirus testing in town, and you get it in 15 minutes, your result, positive or negative. And I've been hearing from a lot of listeners who have to get the test to go to work. They got a sniffle, or they're feeling under the weather with something else, and people get nervous, so they have to go get the test to go to work. You can get the test on the way to work, or leave. If they give you a hard time, go on your lunch hour, or say, you know what? Because I've been hearing stories of people getting sent home because everyone's so paranoid today. Say to your employer, hey, listen, let me run over to any lab test now of Coral Springs or any lab test now of Boca. I'll be back. I'll have the results 15 minutes. I'll be right back. Hey, listen, a lot of people have been out of work for a while. You don't want to miss any more work, do you? Any lab test now of Coral Springs is located on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Their number, 954-906-5983. 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza, where the Western Beef is, south of Palmetto Park Road, north of Hillsborough, and their number, 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio. We'll be right back.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely can't be beaten. Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van at the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire. Tires for my daughter Emily's car, $135 at the shops around town. The price at Friendly Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection.
They speak English there, Johnny.
Too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call
I was just there.
Buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great low price right over the phone at 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net.
Feeling old, tired, run down? Struggling with your sex life or weight control? Dr. Matez can fix it. Call the Boca Raton Center for Age Management at 561-953-5490 or visit their website at brc4am.com.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Steve will be back in studio tomorrow. He was coming back today, just so people know. People wonder if I've done. No, I don't have Steve. Steve will be back tomorrow. We're on our new studio here at the radio station. We're on the 5th floor, and the elevator is out of order, and you have to walk up 5 flights of stairs. Then you got to walk down 5 flights of stairs. So Steve was set to return today from his week off, and he'll be back tomorrow because the elevator will be fixed after the show this morning. Just so you all know. I still can't believe Kelly Preston has died. I mean, that just blew my mind when I saw that this morning. 57, breast cancer. I didn't even hear that she had cancer. I guess it was out there and I missed it. And John Travolta, oh my goodness, he's lost his wife, he lost his son. It's terrible stuff. I know. It's pretty rough. Kelly Preston. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, yeah, she's had access to the best health care money can buy, and then some, right? And the most modern technology and everything else. And Kelly Preston has died from cancer. That's hard to believe. Isn't it hard to believe? I guess, you get to a certain age, and the people you grew up with watching and everything start to die, and it's just the progress. I mean, she's 57, which is not that old. When I was a kid and I'd hear about some actor or actress that died and I was a kid, 57, I was like, oh my goodness, they're as old as the hills. But 57 ain't what it used to be, you know what I mean? But that's terrible. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's get back to some of our audio sound bites. This Roger Stone, the thing with Roger Stone, I have no idea why he did not pardon him. I mean, the media and the left are attacking President Trump like crazy. He commuted the sentence, which means Roger Stone is still a convicted felon. Why did he not pardon him? They're going to hate him just as much. I don't think it would have made any difference if he would have pardoned him. They'd be saying the same things they're saying. And there was a very funny video of Roger Stone online after the news came out. Roger Stone had a party, I guess, at his house or whatever. And guy comes up to him. Roger Stone turns around. He's like, "You caught me." And there's a bottle of vodka there, and I guess he's making vodka martini. And Roger Stone says, "You got me, mother. You got me. I'm drinking Russian vodka." And then he says, "Arrest me, libtards," or something. It was, oh my goodness. I mean, he was Roger Stone was doing victory laps about this. He didn't seem to mind that he wasn't pardoned, but I was expecting him to be pardoned. And he wasn't. And Pelosi, let's play Pelosi. This is Nancy Pelosi's response to the president commuting the sentence of Roger Stone.
What President said, he broke his silence yesterday to defend his Russia investigation after the president commuted the prison sentence of his former associate, Roger Stone. Mueller said that Stone remains a convicted felon, and rightly so. You called the president's commutation an act of staggering corruption. Is it an impeachable offense?
It's staggering corruption, but I think it's important for people also to know that it's a threat to our national security.
Oh, this is interesting. Roger Stone, Roger, I like Roger Stone. He's a character. And he's a bit of a freak, okay? But he's a character, a personality more than anything. So let's find out. So Roger Stone not going to prison is a threat to national security, Pelosi says. Let's find out how.
That Stone remains a convicted felon, and rightly so. You called the president's commutation an act of staggering corruption. Is it an impeachable offense?
It's staggering corruption, but I think it's important for people also to know that it's a threat to our national security.
Oh.
Impeachment process was about our national security. Why we are at the Supreme Court on these cases was to find out about the Russian connection, and we will continue to pursue that. This case was about the Russian connection. So what the president did, we will have legislation that says a president cannot commute or pardon or offer clemency to anybody who commits a crime, is convicted of a crime that affects the president's behavior and his culpability. But again, people should know this isn't just about lying to Congress. That means lying to the American people, witness tampering and the rest. And it's
oh my goodness. All right. He's still a convicted felon, Pelosi, going away for a few months or something. He wasn't going to change any of that. Oh, man. So why? That's what I don't get. If he would have pardoned Roger Stone, would they be saying anything different? I don't see. I don't quite understand it. Now, I'll tell you this, though. Roger Stone's going to be on Hannity tonight. And I imagine Roger Stone's going to get in the business of trying to make some money because he's gone broke. He's gone broke through all of this. He's lost whatever business he had, and whatever money he's had, he's pissed through that. So I'm really, truly hoping that Roger Stone starts making some money. He's going to be on Hannity tonight. I hope Hannity lets him talk and doesn't make it all about him. But what I would like to see Roger Stone do is this. Now, you may have noticed this. When Roger Stone first came out to the press, who was standing to his left? Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer's very good friends with Roger Stone and has been for quite some time, and that's why Laura Loomer was with Roger Stone when the news came in Friday night. In fact, I found out from Laura Loomer first that it was coming down because she was with Roger Stone and she got the news with Stone before it went out publicly. And she was standing there with one of her T-shirts on, Laura Loomer for Congress. Laura Loomer going to Congress is very, very important. I mean, we need, we'll have our own squad, right? Our conservative squad. She's very, very important. And Roger Stone, who lives here in South Florida, could do so much to help Laura Loomer get elected. And I know Roger Stone needs to go out and make money and make lots of money. But Roger Stone could go into every Republican club. He could go into every condominium community. He could stand on the street corner and get huge attention in the local media to elect Laura Loomer. If he just went in the district to shopping centers and stood out front wearing a Laura Loomer T-shirt underneath his pinstripe suit jacket and held up a sign, Laura Loomer, the local newspapers and the media and the national news would be there. And Roger Stone could firm up Laura Loomer and she could win this thing with the help of Roger Stone. So I'm hoping that he not just does one thing. I mean, if Roger Stone, if he campaigned heavily, specifically in the district, okay, that she's running in, that could do wonders. And, Laura Loomer's got a tough fight because she's going up against an incumbent part of the Democrat Party machine, and it's a hard fight. But that district is not as Democrat as it used to be. Things have changed under Trump, and they've changed a lot. So Roger Stone, people on Roger Stone, get out there with Laura Loomer in the district that she's running in and start getting in front of the people. Go to the malls. Stand out in front of the malls on the street, Roger Stone, and tell people come in and vote Loomer in the district. It would make all the difference, I promise you. All right, you're on the radio. Good morning. Oh, hey, Chris. How are you?
Good, by yourself.
I'm doing all right. Had to walk up 5 flights of stairs to get to the studio this morning, but a little exercise.
Yeah, that's no picnic. I actually lived on the 5th floor when I was in New York. And every now and then the same thing happened to me.
Yeah, 5 floors didn't seem like that much until I did it this morning. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no. Trust me, it's a lot easier when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
This whole Russian deal, I mean, come on, they have soundbite after soundbite between Obama and his Putin thing. And then, of course, didn't Putin himself mention that he would like to know about the...
When Pelosi says that Trump asked the Russians to interfere with the election, that was a joke. And Democrats have no sense of humor.
That. And she's all tied up in these technicalities.
Why do you think President Trump did not pardon Roger Stone and just commuted the sentence?
Well, my thing is because I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anything to pardon him for. No, technically they think they got him. But if there...
No. He was convicted. He was going to go to prison. He was supposed to report to prison tomorrow, I think Tuesday. He could pardon him of his crimes. And
so that was, I know, technically convicted, but that was political.
They're gonna hate on Trump just the same way whether it was there's a reason why he didn't pardon him. I just don't know what it is. They're gonna hate on Trump just as much whether he commuted the sentence or pardoned him. I don't get it.
And you're right, that is true. But maybe technically, again, I can say this mind. There's really nothing.
Maybe I will, Nick.
I mean, Mueller didn't come up with anything as far as tying into President Trump because there was nothing there. And then the same thing, the Stone is a character.
Yeah.
Nothing there because...
No, there was a conviction in federal court. And, one thing that no one's talked about, this jury was a jury of Democrats. He was arrested here in Broward County, and they ship him up to Virginia to get a Democrat jury. And the jury foreperson, she had been all over social media talking about how guilty he was and everything. This was before there was a trial. So, that it was a kangaroo court. I haven't heard anyone talk about this liberal Democrat jury. It was the most unfair trial we've seen in a long time. Hey, Chris, I got to run for the top of the hour break. I appreciate the call. It's actually a couple minutes past 8. We'll take our break, and the third and final hour is next. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977.
8.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
You've heard the jingle and seen the commercials, and that's right. You will get the best night's sleep you've ever had with a MyPillow. Have you not gotten your MyPillow yet? Right now is the best time to do it.
That's right, Brian. Hey guys, this is Brian's wife, Kathy, and this is the best time to get a MyPillow. They have amazing deals. Take advantage of them now.
Go to MyPillow.com, click the radio listener link, and you will see all these great deals. Like the buy one MyPillow, get one for free. There's a BOGO offer right now on the Giza Dream Sheets. Buy one set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets and get the second set free.
You gotta love BOGO deals. They're the best. And you can take advantage of so many right now at MyPillow.com.
There's a lot of other deals too. Again, go to MyPillow.com, click on that radio listener link, and you've got to use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout to get these incredible deals. So go right now to MyPillow.com, click the radio listener special. Make sure to use that promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout to take advantage of all of the great deals. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. Make sure to use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, 1-800-716-4879.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
If you suffer with diabetes, there's a 25% chance that you'll develop a foot ulcer that can lead to severe health consequences, including amputation. At the sole authority, at little or no cost, you can receive your very own therapeutic shoes and custom inserts. Medicare recipients are entitled to one pair of quality diabetic shoes and 3 custom inserts. Call the sole authority today, 954-597-7060.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Avoid probate with a revocable living trust. $350 for single people, $450 for married couples. When you complete your trust with attorney Barry Siegel, he will give you a $100 gift certificate to Tavolino Italian Restaurant in Coral Springs. The Siegel Law Group, with offices throughout Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1-888-GO.
All right, third and final hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Steve Kane will be back live in studio tomorrow. All right, let's go back to our phones. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. All right, 888-465-2631. Nick in Baltimore, good morning.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Doing all right.
It's Monday. The reason why I'm calling, the reason I think he didn't pardon, President Trump didn't pardon Roger Stone, he just commuted the sentence, because he can go after the judge now this way more easily. He can sue the judge.
Who can? A federal judge? Nah.
The jury.
It doesn't make, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a theory. I mean, listen, I know that Flynn didn't want to have the conviction, or the pardon, and have the conviction hanging over him. He wanted his name cleared for all kinds of reasons, including maybe his military benefits. I don't know how that would be affected. So there's a matter of honor when you're dealing with a general. Roger Stone, I don't think Roger Stone minds being a convicted felon. I think it adds to his character and personality. I don't think he really minds.
Well, I think he can really go after these people. As far as Flynn is concerned, General Flynn, once this judge is really rebuked when it hits the Supreme Court, it's going to go that far.
they already ruled on it, the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Ruled on General Flynn's case. So it's going to get thrown out. So this judge is just being rogue. I forget.
And now look, they're trying to go after, they're trying to go after him in New York now. They're talking about going after Roger Stone in New York because on state charges he can't be pardoned by the president. These are disgusting people. I saw a story today that I hope is not true, but about collusion between Sessions and Comey. That Comey knew. The story says that Comey knew in advance before he announced it that Sessions was going to recuse himself.
I don't know. See, the problem with all of this, there was a story out. This speaks to something else too, because there was a story Friday that popped out on Fox, by the way, and Rush Limbaugh went with this briefly. In that there was a leak from the sources tell them that John Durham isn't going to be done until after the November.
I know. I saw that yeah.
That was a phony story, by the way.
Where did you hear? I haven't heard the phony. It was a phony story part. I didn't hear that yet.
No. What I'm saying is it was something that was a source of a source of a source.
There are no sources. These are just knitting circles of Trump haters that have conversations and say they have sources.
There have been no leaks from the Durham Barr investigation.
Well, what they're trying to do is, I think you may be right, and what they're trying to do is discount the indictments that come out because. They're trying to say, well, he doesn't want to do it before the election because it'll be political. Whenever everything Durham does is political because it involves politicians who are launching a political coup against the executive branch. So before the election or after the election, it's always going to be political.
Going on.
Oh, yeah.
Going on. The coup's still going on. That's what this Black Lives Matter stuff is all about. That's a coup right there. That's all being funded by, it's a Marxist organization.
Well, now I don't, this new hearing with Lindsey Graham calling Mueller, I would like to, I do have the fantasy that Lindsey Graham is going to go after Robert Mueller, but I don't know, I've been disappointed so many times, I can't see that really happening.
I think he just wants to be on Fox every night.
Who? Lindsey Graham? He could really lay into Mueller. I mean, Mueller is out to lunch.
Right, but I don't really, I
don't have a lot of faith in it.
Trust is Trump.
Yeah, I agree with that one. How do you think Trump looked in the mask? Did Trump not look super cool in the mask?
He looked good. Listen, one thing about it, Brian, and you know this because you're in the media.
Oh, yes.
A master. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
And he will handle this situation. He'll handle them, and they're all going to go down. You watch what I say. MSNBC, CNN, all the networks, they're all going to go down. They're going to fall like dominoes. It's going to happen.
I hope so. All right, Nick in Baltimore, appreciate the call. So much happening. Now, MSNBC's Joy Reid. Joy Reid is really a despicable person, and she really is. I mean, she's the worst. She is the worst, and she's not aware of it, but she's a racist. Okay, she's a racist, and they've just given her this nighttime show. She's replaced Chris Matthews. I'm really hoping to see Chris Matthews come over to Fox News Channel. I really am, because you know what? He's a Democrat, but he's not like these wackadoodles that are out there. But anyway, Joy Reid, she's replaced Chris Matthews, and she's talking about, well, let me just play it. It speaks for itself. We'll talk about it as I play it. She has a panel here, Joy Reid, and this is it.
Logically, the Republican Party is indeed Fox. Fox is state television, but what happens when you don't have a state in your state TV? What happens when you know the voters and you want to be a bigoted or authoritarian like Trump? It's not going to work out.
Yeah, okay, but Jonathan laughed the loudest. I'm going to go to you first, then I'm going to go to Gabe. Because, look, it worked in South Africa. I'm just being honest. The Republican Party is, go and read the history of the National Party, the National or Nationalist Party in South Africa. It's the same party.
Wow, okay. So before we get to the rest of this, so she said the white nationalist, the GOP under Donald Trump is the same party as the Nationalist Party of South Africa. First off, who reads the history of the South African Nationalist Party? That seems like a strange thing to do, but that was the pro-apartheid party. So that's so Trump's a segregationist. So she tells us. All right, let's get back to Joy Reid.
Yeah, okay, but Jonathan laughed the loudest. I'm going to go to you first, then I'm going to go to Gabe. Because, look, it worked in South Africa. I'm just being honest. The Republican Party is, go and read the history of the National Party, the National or Nationalist Party in South Africa. It's the same party as the Republican Party of the United States. It's about white interest politics and white grievance politics and fear of losing power to a brown or black majority. That is the Republican Party now. Mitch McConnell can go pretend he's the masked man, that he's the biggest advocate of masks. No one believes that. They just know he got his 200 judges, so he doesn't give a damn about Trump anymore because he got what he wanted out of Trump. All those judges that keep the powerful empowered for the next 40 years.
Oh no, I like that. So we have these Trump judges that have packed the courts for the next 40 years. That's like half a century. That's awesome.
Now that he has 40 years of power in the bank, now he's like, wear a mask. No one believes him. Anyway, go ahead, Jonathan.
Where do I go after that? But look,
I'm sorry.
I take your point. With the South Africa analogy, and as I was listening to you talk about that just now, and also I believe you mentioned it yesterday on your show, which I found really interesting. The one thing we have in the United States going for us is very strong institutions that will push back against at least I hope, against the authoritarianism that we're seeing right now. That we won't get to the point of South Africa.
Okay, so this is insanity that's going on. It's hard to believe that this is NBC News. The NBC News used to be a brand that meant something. I mean, they've always been left wing, but you know, the BLM television here. A couple of things going on here. That's Jonathan Capehart at the end there, okay? What he's saying is that Trump, it seems to me that they're conceding that Trump will be reelected, right? Does it not seem that way to you, that he will be reelected? So they've given up on that. But what they're saying is that after he's reelected, the swamp, they'll still be able to stop him from doing what he wants to do in the bureaucracy. Isn't that nice? So the coup, as Nick said, will continue there. But this idea that a white majority or a white minority is developing, and they're trying to maintain apartheid in this country. Listen, what's going on around this country with Black Lives Matter is setting back the civil rights movement by years and decades, because when people see, even when the Black Lives Matter activists are white and they're committing acts of violence and burning and looting, or these shootings we've heard about. Notice the shooting of the little girl by Black Lives Matter in Atlanta. We talked about it a week ago. There's been no updates. I'm sure there's been a funeral already. That wasn't in the news. They covered that up. But the violence being committed by Black Lives Matter nationally is scaring people. And people, I think, are afraid to vote Democrat for fear that these group of people that are committing acts of violence in American cities are going to have influence in a Democrat White House. And there's no doubt about it. One question, how will it affect the House races? You know, and I think they're scaring the hell out of people. And they're really promoting a very negative stereotype of African Americans, these Black Lives Matter acts of violence that are going on. All right, let's take our first break of the last hour. When we get back, there's more to share. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely can't be beaten. Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van. At the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire. Tires for my daughter Emily's car, $135 at the shops around town. The price at Friendly Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great low price right over the phone at 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net.
We are chatting today with Frank, the owner of two magnificent Ace Hardware stores. One, Deerfield Beach, 365 South Federal Highway, about a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough on the west side of Federal Highway. And the other, Beach Ace Hardware, located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, half a block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea. How many years have you owned this business?
I've been in the hardware business for over 40 years, Steve.
If I have a home project that I'm doing, there are so many around the house, that's the big thing today. What's the difference of my experience if I go to Ace Hardware as opposed to these major impersonal chain stores?
Oh, there's a huge difference. The basic difference is customer service. We're an old-time fashion hardware store. We have experienced people that are working our stores. Our employees are just top-notch. They're very experienced. They know their business. When you're doing a project, you can come into the store and you can get somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody that will like to work with you. They'll find you the right project, the right pieces to right the first time, so you can get in and out with the right material.
There are lots of Ace Hardware stores, but there are only two that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deerfield location, a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal, and of course the Beach Ace Hardware located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, a half block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea. Very, very special locations. Be sure to mention Steve Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWN.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 18 minutes after 8, and today is Monday the 13th. This is the final day of the 4th of July sale going on at Ace Hardware Deerfield, at Beach Ace Hardware. Lots of sales going on. The 4th of July sale continues through today, the 13th, so get on over there. And there's also 20% off new Craftsman V20 lithium-ion power tools as well. But the 4th of July sale ends today. Ace Hardware Deerfield, Beach Ace Hardware. Go in there and take advantage of that. Now, this story here, Washington Redskins will officially drop racist name after sponsor FedEx threatened to pull out of $205 million stadium naming rights deal. We're not sure yet what the name will be. You know, it's so ridiculous. I was watching CNN the other day, and you see this on other things on television. They have not said the Washington Redskins, I don't think, in several years on CNN or MSNBC. They call it the Washington Football Team, and which is ridiculous. But I know there's a lot of people out there, when this happens today, the name's going to suck. I mean, you know, we've had the name for so long and it's going to change. I don't know if the name's racist or not, but I'll tell you, you know, come on. I mean, you know, to change the name, who cares? And a lot of people get mad. Who cares about the name of a football team? Really. And maybe it is a little racist. It's called Redskins, but you know, football teams, this is a sad thing because, you know, we hear so much talk that the Indian culture has been wiped free, it's stolen, it's lost, and all of these things. One thing that has kept the memory of Native Americans, Indians around is sports, right? Sports. But you're going to watch. They're going to go after the Cleveland Indians next, right? Because Indians instead of Native Americans. You know, I was in the car with my daughter. It drives my daughter nuts that I call Indians Indians. She always says Native Americans. And we were driving home from Miami on the turnpike Saturday night, and we were coming up to that Hard Rock Guitar Hotel, which looks like something Biff Tanner built. Doesn't that look like a Biff Tanner project? And I said, oh, look at the Indian Guitar Hotel. And my daughter says, Native American, Dad. And I pointed to the sign on the side of the road, and it says, you're now entering the Seminole Indian Reservation, right? They have that sign there. I said, they're calling themselves Indians, okay, not Native Americans. But they're going to go after the Cleveland Indians next. They're going to go after any athletic team who has any type of Native American Indian theme around it. And yeah, they're going to Kansas City Chiefs. Look at the Florida Seminoles, right? If you ever watch a Florida Seminole game, they have the chief come out on the horse with the spear. They're going to get rid of all of that, and they do the hatchet thing. The Florida, they're going to stop all of this stuff. And then what are they going to do? See, changing the name of the Redskins, anytime you deal with the left and you give in to a request of theirs, they're never happy. They'll never say thank you. They'll move. Yeah, the Atlanta Braves, that's the next one. I mean, these sporting teams have kept Indians alive in this country so far as a narrative. And the reason teams are named after Indian things is because Indians are respected fighters and warriors, and these names may sound right, but it's out of respect. And whatever name they come up with, I've heard some strange names. Usually they have red in the title, Red Devils or something like this. I've heard, and I listen, the left, they don't care about any of these issues, don't you see? Out of everyone complaining about the name Redskins, I have never seen a true Native American Indian come out and complain. Have you? Well, I'm not talking about someone who says they're, 20% or 10% Native American. I'm talking about someone that comes out and they're an official representative. They're an Indian. They've done the DNA. They're an Indian, not like Elizabeth Warren, a real Native American who's come out with their tribe, with a group of elders from one of the Indian nations and said, enough. I haven't heard any of that. It's usually members of the media that are offended for Native Americans, right? And here we've got the Seminole Indian tribe. They've got that huge casino thing going on, and it's the Seminole Indian Hard Rock Casino. It's not the Seminole Native American Hard Rock Casino down there, is it? No. When they change it to that, then maybe we'll talk. But they don't care about the name. And what they really do is they want conservatives to defend the Redskins name because it fits the narrative that conservatives are white supremacists and they're supporting these racist names of Indian teams. If they go, changing the names of all the sporting teams that have any type of Native American connection to the name, whether it's the Braves or the Indians or the Redskins or whatever it is, once they do that, and they will, believe me, every high school, every college, they're all going to be gone, what will be left in this country to remember Native Americans by? There's not much of anything. And it's changing the names of these sporting teams is a lot like taking down the statues. They'll be totally forgotten, right? I mean, I don't know what other than the sport teams, what is really out there where people think about Indians in our society, other than the casinos and the tobacco shops. People go down there to buy cigarettes without the taxes, right? Other than that, that's it. And that's really a sad thing. And I've seen many a Redskins game where you don't see this anymore because they don't want to show it to you, okay, on television. But I've seen pictures online of people at Redskin games, and there's real, not fake Indians like Elizabeth Warren. There's real Indians in the stands that are proud members of different Indian nations, and they're there and they're all excited. So maybe calling Redskins may seem racist, maybe it is, but they're wiping out the last little bit of Indian history in this country because people think about it and it keeps Indians in their mind. And, you know, that's how the left are, though. The left are just people that are constantly offended and have nonstop grievances about everything, and they want to change the names of everything and take things down for no apparent reason other than getting their way about something. But it's all about, you know, if you notice, all of these things happen always on the eve of elections, especially when they're losing. They got nothing. So when they've got nothing, they've got to create. And what they're doing now is they're creating all types of racial problems in this country that, you know, I think it's amazing that the president refused the funding up in Minneapolis. Here you had it. They want money from Trump, from the federal government, to rebuild their city that the officials allowed to be torn apart and destroyed. Do you know what kind of guts it took for President Trump to do that? Oh my goodness. I promise you, Jared and a bunch of other advisors were telling Trump, you can't do that. It's not everyone's fault in the city that the city got torn apart. We've got to go. You can't have the mayor and their governor and their county officials and the police say, no, come, burn the city down, tear it up, and then go to the federal government and go to Trump that they've been attacking, right? And say, oh, give us money to rebuild what we allowed to be torn down. Use your defund the police money to rebuild Minneapolis, right? They voted to defund the police. Let's say, all right, they've got some extra money now. They've defunded the police. It took a lot of guts for Trump to do that, you know, and it's really amazing. All right, listen, we'll take our break for the top. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. Our number, toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
You've heard Steve Kane, Richie the bus driver, and many other Steve Kane listeners tell you about the great work Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental Care offers. Steve Kane listener, hey, called in, he had an accident, he went to Dr. Gupta, and he told us his story.
Good morning, Brian. My name's Hank. I'm calling from Hollywood. Brian, I'm calling you for a different thing. About a month or so ago, I called first thing in the morning because I fainted coming out of my bathroom, and I busted my 3 front teeth. I busted my chin, but I guess I fainted, I fell, I cracked my chin, it hit my upper teeth, and I cracked my 3 front teeth. I want to thank you, and I really want to thank Dr. Gupta. I mean, besides the fact that my teeth look great, besides the fact that, you know, his assistant is really good, really nice, they're all really nice over there, the price was unbelievable. When I came home, I told my wife, she's like, I thought that thing was going to cost you 3 times as much. I said, so did I. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Gupta. He's awesome. Appreciate your show. I've listened to your show a lot. I only called in, this is the second time. Both times, one was to make sure I'm going to the right office where Dr. Gupta was, and then this one to let you know that he's great. I know you know he's great. I just want your listeners to know he's great. His assistant is great. The prices are great. Everything is great over there.
Awesome. Well, listen, I'm glad you had a great experience with Dr.
Yeah, I did. Thank you again, Brian.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and thank Eve, and you guys keep up the good work over there. I appreciate it. Dr. Gupta, you keep up the good work, too.
All right, there we go.
So everybody keep up.
All right, I think you guys just heard what will be the new commercial for Dr. Gupta.
Do what Hank did. Call Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. For Steve Kane listeners, free consultations. And always the best price. Give Dr. Gupta a call right now. 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWN.
All right, and it's time to check in with Richard Pearl from Simply Natural. Richard Pearl, good morning. Doing good. How was your weekend?
We've been extremely busy between what I do in the store and just off.
Mm-hmm.
And people are understanding that they have to live life. That they have, regardless of number, regardless of motivations, of political endeavors and so forth. People need to live their lives. And, you know, fears can only last so long. At some point, you either get busy living or get busy dying. And not to make a pun out of it, but, you know, Florida's had a little bit of a rough period here, but it's still minor considering how many people live in the state and who's dying. And what I'm finding out is that, again, the people who are dying are elderly and really sick, and they may be dying for other reasons. There seems to be some question as to whether people are dying really of corona or if it's profitable for us.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
There's a lot of health things that people can do. I have seen an uptick of people getting the virus, but in all cases, their reactions have been muted. They haven't had like severity attached to it, where you would say, "Oh my God, this is the end." And I found that a lot of them are taking supplements. And there's something I talked about on Saturday. If people use, and they should look into this. Seems to be the answer to a lot of this. If you go back even to the early research when Fauci was starting and the whole thing began, they kept saying, look at the cytokine storms. And so if you can bring down the inflammation, which is a lot of the ways that people get well quickly, that would be a better solution than we're hoping for a vaccine.
Now you say you're hearing from more people in Broward that have COVID. But it's not that more people are getting it, it's that more people are getting tested, is what I would say. Yeah.
464 people that have died. Miami has, 3 times that.
Mm-hmm.
And Palm Beach has more. So Broward actually has more cases than Palm Beach, but it has considerably less deaths.
Yeah.
Double the cases that Broward does, but they have almost 3 times.
Mm.
And Palm Beach is having a bigger issue. We're having a less issue. And the fact is, if you take supplements, you'll boost your immunity. I just want to leave on this one point, and this is very disturbing. The prostitutes on CNBC or MSNBC, whichever it is, the one with Joe and his goofy wife. They talk about today that there's no deaths in New York, even though they had all these different riots. Protests.
Yes.
Demonstrations, but we'll call them riots for reality and marauders and so forth. But even though they had all that, they don't seem to have cases. They had 0 deaths. But she was so quick to drool that there was, an uptick in cases here in Florida. She didn't equate it with the deaths. She wants to talk about how great the cases are. But as you point out, Brian, when people test more, they find.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would only test for some.
Well, it sounds like Fauci is trying to interrupt your phone connection there, Richard Pearl. Yeah, okay. Now listen, Richard Pearl's radio program is next on the air on our radio stations Wednesday at 11 a.m. His store, Simply Natural, is just north of Sunset Strip on the east side of University Drive. They're open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., 954-741-4045. 954-741-4045. Richard Pearl of Simply Natural. We'll talk tomorrow, Richard. All right, take care. You know, this story, and again, I've never really considered myself a conspiracy person, but I'm becoming one more and more, you know. This story today, you heard Richard Pearl mention it, that they didn't have any deaths yesterday in New York City for the first time in a long time, you know, from COVID. If you watch the media, notice all the places that are recovered and recovering and doing well, New York as an example, all Democrat towns. But they're talking about closing down Texas again. They're pushing the governor of Florida, DeSantis, to have a mask order. The states that's Trump country, things are doing just poorly, just awful. Okay? And this is where the conspiracy in my mind comes in. Why were there no deaths in New York? Oh, because we locked down. We haven't fully opened. Florida has fully opened, right? They got Disney World open even. So that's why. So there's immediate, you know, there's a lot of talk that they were cooking the books all along on the positive rates and things like this. Now, are they cooking them in reverse, right? And I think maybe they are. You know, I was talking in the first hour of the show. I was down in Miami over the weekend on Saturday, and I was in South Beach. South Beach was packed, and hardly anyone was wearing a mask. And you know what I didn't see when I was in Miami and none of these people were wearing masks? You know what I didn't see? I didn't see police officers enforcing it. You know, so I thought they were, you know, they have a mask ordinance everywhere in public in Miami. And I was wearing a mask, because I guess, you know. But there were very, very few people wearing masks, hardly anyone, and social distancing, forget about it. So what they're doing in Miami, I'm looking for this story that I wanted to share with you. What they're doing in Miami is basically acting like it's normal down there. And the one thing I saw that really shocked, I wasn't shocked at people not wearing masks, because masks are, you know, a controversial thing. What I saw in Miami that shocked the hell out of me is I went to a mall down there and I saw people at a candy store kiosk taking candy out of the community candy buckets, right? Where you put your hand in with the little plastic little shovel and you fill up a bag and they charge you by the weight. I was shocked to see people doing that, because there's no way in heck I would have done that. Now, you want to talk about cooking the books. I saw this story over the weekend, and this is just one example of many, but they got busted on this one. Okay, this is a story from the Gateway Pundit. Dr. Joseph Fair, F-A-I-R. This guy was all over the news, right? He appeared on NBC News and the Today Show about a dozen times in May during the height of the coronavirus pandemic in the U.S. Dr. Fair appeared in a hospital bed fighting off the disease with oxygen tubes in his nose when he appeared on NBC. And I've seen this. He was in the bed, oxygen tube, he was unshaven, laying in bed. In one segment, Dr. Joseph Fair told the Today host, "If it can take me down, it can take anybody down." So he did all these TV interviews that he had coronavirus. He was in the hospital for it. He was fighting it. He didn't know if he was going to live, if he was going to die. They had him on a dozen times. It was all a lie. He did not have coronavirus. And we know this because he finally admitted it. He tweeted, because I guess he was getting busted, "My undiagnosed suspected COVID illness from nearly 2 months ago remains an undiagnosed mystery, as a recent antibody test was negative." He says, "I had COVID symptoms, was hospitalized in a COVID ward, treated for COVID-related illness, and tested negative by nasal swab. I was severely ill for 2 weeks, 4 days of it in critical condition, resulting in pneumonia." And he lost some weight and went somewhere else. They had him all over the news. And you know, this is an amazing thing, right? He was in a COVID ward in a hospital, even though he didn't have it. And he still didn't get it at all because he tested negative for the antibodies. Where's the retraction on the Today Show? Where's the retraction on NBC News? Where's the retraction on MSNBC for having him on from the hospital bed. You know, this is Wag the Dog. And I remember seeing this guy on TV, and when you see his picture, go to thegatewaypundit.com, you'll recognize him. He was all over, and he was always very ill. Now, maybe he was sick with something, and the only reason he came out and admitted it is because it was going to leak out somehow. Someone found out it was going to leak out, that antibody test. You know, and you really got to wonder, how did this guy spend time in a COVID ward being exposed in a ward filled with people with it, and he still not only didn't get it and tested negative? And what kind of standards do they have at the news? You know, did they not ask for a test result to prove that he had what he said that he had? You know, I remember when John Kerry was running for president. John Kerry became an activist when he was always politically connected, but he, you know, when he came back from Vietnam and he was at the war protests at the White House throwing other people's medals over the fence, a lot of people were talking about how so many of the Vietnam War protesters who were veterans were not veterans, that they were fake veterans, that they'd wear like army surplus clothes and look all ragtaggy, you know, so they look like veterans. A lot of it was fake. And I thought, well, maybe, but, you know, come on. You know, it was hard for me to accept that. You know, it was before my time. And now I'm seeing things like this. And what can, you know, if you're at a level of NBC News and you're going to have someone on from a hospital bed who has COVID, they're in the hospital, they've been tested, ask to see the test before you put them. But see, they don't care. They just want to have someone on that says they have it. And of course he's young, and I'm young and I'm healthy and I'm a doctor and I still got it. The truth is out there about this but when this is all over and we start to get more stories like this come out, some of the things that come out of it, and I was very surprised at this guy because I saw him on TV many times, and I thought, the poor guy. You know, there's a story now of a guy who was anti-masker who passed away. I question everything now. I don't believe anything I see on television. Everything on television is activism, a narrative, and I don't trust any of it, especially during times like this when you hear things like this. All right, we'll take our last break of the day. We'll come back with the Gold Report in our final segment. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE1. Steve will be back tomorrow. Steve was off last week, was coming back today. Our elevator is out of order, and we're on the 5th floor, and I had a tough time walking up those 5 flights. I must tell you, I was when I got to the top, I was a little out of breath myself. So Steve's not walking up 5 flights and then walking down 5 flights. So the elevator will be fixed today. Steve will be back in studio tomorrow, for those of you that are wondering. All right, 1-888-GO-KANE1, 888-465-2631. We'll take a break, and we'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
5.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
You're stuck in your home and the dog days of summer are coming. It's already happening on the hot days in the late afternoon and early evenings. Your air conditioner is running more and more and may even run constantly, struggling to keep your home cool and hold the temperature that you have it set on. And in some homes it can't even keep up, losing the battle. And the temperature in your house climbs and you're hot, humid.
I think the picture is much better using Streamlabs than just using the YouTube app. I've looked on my iPad throughout the show, and it seems much clearer to me. What do you guys think?
Our off-season sale. Act now. Save 50% on reflective and/or blown insulation.
Dr. Joseph Fair, F-A-I-R.
MyKilowatts.com at 954-939-1500. That's 954.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why, but
CutMyKilowatts.com. Put your house in the shade today.
The science behind the aging process is exploding. We have come to a point where we can take steps to significantly improve the health and function of our cells. Healthy cells means healthy tissue, means healthy organs.
What do you guys think? Does anybody else agree it's better quality? Hello?
And live longer. That's right, folks, I said it. Live longer.
Steve Kane Show, hold on, please.
Is increasing in this country.
Hello?
It is not a coincidence. With simple, safe, and
Steve
effective
Kane Show.
therapies such as peptides, we can significantly improve the function and health of your cells, and therefore we are improving your health from the ground up.
Hey there.
Sleep better, lose weight, build muscle, have energy, have sex, be in a good mood. If feeling good and looking good sounds
More stable, yeah.
call me, Dr. Mitchell Matez at the Boca Raton Center for Age Management at 561.
Is everyone subscribed? If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you don't mind right now. I put in a, when someone subscribes, something will splash up on the screen. We'll get a big announcement thing. All right, welcome back. 46 minutes after the hour. Time to check in with William Youngerman from William Youngerman Incorporated with the Gold Report. William Youngerman, good morning.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How the metals looking this week?
Metals looking very good. Starting off the week is nicely higher. Back over the $1,800 number. Friday we closed just under $1,800, which should be find some support around that number. $17.98 was the close on Friday. That was down $4.40 on Friday.
You can read the clock.
Silver was up 4 cents on Friday, closing at $18.68. Platinum went down $6 at $812, and palladium closed up $34 at $19.16. This morning we got gold nicely higher, up $8.50 right now at $1,807.10 the ounce. Silver, big gainer, also up 42 cents this morning, over $19 now at $19.10 the ounce. Platinum, the biggest gainer, up $28 at $840 right now, and palladium up $20 at $1,936. So back over 1,800 gold it is, and heading for probably testing those highs soon of the 1,900.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. Listen, give William Youngerman a call. His number is toll free from anywhere. 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. Online, WilliamYoungerman.com. And the address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, which is immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road on the first floor of the Bank of America building. All right, William Youngerman, we will talk tomorrow. Oh, okay, no problem. We'll let everybody. So close today. All right, take care. Thanks so much. All right, I'm glad he threw that in at the end. Yeah, I just looked at the Drudge Report, and here's the headline on the Drudge Report. Florida, largest day increase of any state since pandemic. And they have a picture of, I guess it's a woman. Yeah, it's a picture of a woman. It's hard to tell in this picture. Laying face down at the beach, sunning with a mask on. First off, this picture, I don't know how this picture was taken. Go to the Drudge Report now and look at it. This is the most absurd, ridiculous thing. Okay, so I think it's a woman. Can't 100%. You can never tell these days, right? So they've got a picture of a woman. She's laying down to get a tan. She has a bottle of suntan lotion in her hand. If someone is out, right, in the middle of the day on a Florida beach suntanning, why would they wear a mask? I'll tell you why they wouldn't wear a mask. Of course, the obvious is when people are at the beach on a normal day, there's social distance because you get your own little area and you hang out there. But what would a mask do to you if you're out at the beach sunbathing to get a tan? What would the mask do to you? It would give you tan lines. You would have a tan line on your face. If you wore that mask all day, you would get a sunburn on your face, and having the mask over your face while you're sunbathing would be the equivalent of sometimes we call it a farmer's tan, or what it looks like under your swim trunks. No one would go out and tan like this on a beach with suntan lotion wearing a mask. So I don't know what the context of this photograph was, but the photograph is fake news, okay? I'm here to tell you. Now, that being said, I did go to the beach on Saturday. And when I went to Miami Beach, South Beach on Saturday, and I walked down the whole beach from the Versace mansion all the way south to the south end of the South Beach Strip, okay? and I was talking about how very few people were wearing masks. When I got to the south end of the South Beach Strip area, I walked out to the beach and walked up the wall, and I walked pretty far up and back down the beach. There was not a single person. I swear to you, I walked way down the beach, both directions, on the waterline, up the middle. I didn't see one person wearing a mask on the beach, not one. And the beach, it was like a normal beach day. One, you don't want to get the tan line of the mask. Okay? Nobody wants that. Two, people are naturally social distanced on the beach. You get your towel, you got your blanket, you have your umbrella or your chair, and you're either alone or with your friends that you went with, and there's nobody near you. Okay? Or you're in the water. And I was looking for this. Not one person wearing a mask on the beach, but Drudge, they have somebody here wearing a mask where they're going to get tan lines, like bikini lines, on their face. What would it be like to have a mask bikini-like tan line on your face? How would you ever get an even out tan? You know, I know, it's so stupid. Have you seen anybody yet with a tan line on their face? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Now, and so far as the numbers, it's just like I told Richard Pearl. There are more people getting tested. We have testing facilities all over the state. Any lab tests now of Boca and Coral Springs have the 15-minute test, right? And it's the lowest price in town. You will not find Corona COVID-19 testing any lower than the prices at any lab test now of Boca and Coral Springs have. I promise you, we checked this out last week. So it says here, Florida, largest day increase of any state since pandemic, 15,299 on Sunday. And then this is the next line, Republican convention at risk. Shocker. Shocker, right? See, this is so much, you know, this focus on Florida is about many things. But one of them, I was telling you on Friday, they want us to have to cancel our convention because they've got a candidate that doesn't even know who the sitting president is, who's incoherent, and they don't want to drag him out at a convention. They want to have a Zoom virtual convention, the Democrats, because of how weak and checked out their candidate is. And he's so weak and checked out, you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. So they're trying to get the Republicans to cancel our convention. Associated Press. It's Trump's call on what the GOP convention will look like. After months of insisting the Republican National Convention go off as scheduled despite the pandemic, President Donald Trump is slowly coming to accept that the late August event will not be the 4-night infomercial for his re-election he had anticipated. See, here's the thing. The conventions of both parties are like the Olympics. Every 4 years it happens, and they carry it live in prime time. And the Democrats are in a panic. They've got their social distance convention, if they do one that's live and not virtual, where everyone's 50 feet apart, and they're afraid that we're going to have a primetime convention with our president and vice president coming out for the renomination process and speeches, and it's going to be a packed house of thousands, and they don't want that on television. So they're promoting this garbage. You're on the radio. Good morning. Yes. Yes, it is. I'm an expert. No, that's another show. Give me a break. Trolls. They want us to cancel our convention. They don't want Trump on. See, they're obligated. They don't have to put a Trump rally on, but they are obligated to carry the Republican convention during prime time on network television. This is a tradition. It always happens, and they are obligated to do it. So they're trying to get the local officials in Florida to cancel it. There's also some story they had last week that's very vague that Ron DeSantis is trying to do things with. Give me a break. Give me a break. The convention is going to happen. It's going to be on prime time. You're going to have to carry it, and you're going to have a convention with an empty floor with some circles and 20 people out there. Okay? and ours is going to be packed, and they can't handle it. That's what a lot of this is about. In fact, it's probably what all of it. Liberals aren't thinking too many steps ahead. They're in a very desperate place right now, so they're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you got to go through everything. You got to take care of what you're dealing with now. They're in a state of anxiety, is what they're in right now, because they've got this. I mean, it's hard to even call him a candidate when you think about it, isn't it? Right, Joe Biden. They've got this man who's obviously suffering from some form of advanced dementia. Okay, not only is he dealing with the advanced dementia, they've got this popular president that they're running against. They can't even find anyone who wants to be the vice president nominee with Biden, because who wants to be a loser? So they're going to have to get some third-rate person who has nothing to lose to be at the bottom of the ticket. And it's very hard to find someone who's young that wants to be at the bottom of a losing ticket, because they got their whole life ahead of them. So they're looking at weak people that no one's ever heard of before. Okay, and then we have our convention, and it's a huge pep. You hear it with Drudge. It's a huge pep rally and a huge convention that on television looks like what it is, that President Trump has mass support, and they are trying to sabotage it with these fake fears of what's going on in Florida. Now, speaking of this, okay, any lab test now of Boca and Coral Springs, the lowest price on COVID-19 coronavirus testing in South Florida, okay? They have the 15-minute test. You go in, 15 minutes later, you have your result, okay? And I have been hearing from a lot of people, even in my personal life, who have had to get tested for work purposes. Someone I know was dealing with food poisoning, and they had to go get tested for COVID-19 to go back to work. Any lab test now at Coral Springs, any lab test now at Boca. The lowest price on COVID testing in South Florida. People have to get their kids tested now because school is starting back up. The lowest price in town. Any lab test now at Coral Springs, on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood, over by the Coral Square Mall. Their number 954-906-5983. 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca. They're located in the Sandalfoot Plaza, where the Western Beef is, south of Palmetto Park Road and north of Hillsborough. Their number 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Both locations and numbers are listed at stevekaneshow.com. If you missed that, and make sure you mention you heard about them on the radio when you stop in. But again, the lowest price, and you get the results in 15 minutes. It's just a finger test, not the thing up the nose that goes back to the eyeball that hurts like hell. It's I've done it. I've been tested a couple of times over there, and it's quick. And you get the result right there on the spot, so you can go back to work and take your results with you. All right, everyone. Steve will be back tomorrow, and of course I'll be back at 6 a.m. See you then. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Take care.
5.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
Steve Kane Show. Okay. All right, guys. I think the Streamlabs is much better. I don't know why it's better. I don't know why it would be better, but it is better to me. So I think we're going to stick with it at least for a while and see if it maintains that. I had these trolls on the phone here in the last hour that I was dealing with. All right, guys, listen, take care. I will see you all later, all right? Thanks for watching.